Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to the Canadian Roundtable. I'm thinking of changing the name, possibly, maybe just to the Roundtable, so I can cover, more broad topics. I don't know. What do you guys think in the chat and the comments later? If somebody watches this later on, let me know in the comment section what you think. I was just thinking that maybe coming up with a new logo as well. If somebody's good with creating logos and doing that type of stuff, feel free to create one and send it my way. I don't know. We'll have a contest, and then whoever does it, I don't know. We'll name you during the stream or something. I don't know. But hey, Jesus. Hey, Boingo Bear. How's it going, guys? Welcome to the stream. We got Joe Hazelton on tonight. I also sent a link out to Rance Derrick, but he said he was drinking tonight, so he may or may not show up. He might be belligerently drunk, using racial slurs, because we all know Derrick is a racist. And
100%.
Yeah, exactly right. Hey, Faye. Hey, Handy Looney. Work fast, sleep faster. How's it going? Hey, MaidenLiberty. How's it going? You could hop on the stream too, Maiden, if you want to as well. I can throw the link in the chat here, so I'll just throw it out there. If you want to hop on, go ahead. The more the merrier. MaidenLiberty, go to her channel, subscribe. Same as Joe Hazelton, go to his channel. Go to Fredrick Godzilla Menckin's channel as well. I all have links in the description below, right? So go there and subscribe. But we're going to be talking about the new Canada's digital charter that the Trudeaus and Liberals are trying to pass right now, which is pretty much, I guess, an emulation of Article 13, but even like worse, and Europe, as well as Bill C-71, that new restrictive gun ban that the Liberals are trying to put in place after the Christchurch shooting that had absolutely nothing to do with us. Let's harm legal gun owners instead of the people going out and killing people. Like the video I just made just today of my niece and her older brother being shot and killed, and fucking by an illegal gun. Most likely, not a legal gun owner who did that. Somebody with an illegal fucking gun that did that. But no. Let's punish the law-abiding gun owners, etc. And then talk about Andrew Scheer and his weakness as of late, and his latest speech that he made about diversity and being our strength. Pretty much just a copycat of Trudeau, but just a little bit different. And also, a few other topics like Malaysia and whatnot. But welcome everybody aboard. And I think MaidenLiberty, she's probably going to hop on. I'm not sure. She said no problem. So probably expecting her right away. But what do you guys think about the new Canada's digital charter that the Trudeau government is trying to pass right now? Like, what do you think that it's going to pass? Do you think that it's going to get any steam, or are they going to try to bulldoze it through before the elections or something? What do you think, Joe?
I was going to invite Fred to go first on this one because I'm just starting to go through this right now. So I'd actually give it over to him, and then I'll kind of skim through this as he gives his lowdown.
Yeah, so I think personally it's going to take a lot of ambiguity into and put it into policy. So I'm reading, there's a digital charter that the UK government already uses by the Department for Digital Culture and Media and Sport. In it, it says, working program to support our ambition for the UK to be the safest place in the world to be online, published a social media code of practice. So basically, it'll be very 1984-ish. They're going to control what can be published in terms of speak and culture, which sets expectations for preventing and responding to abusive behavior and annual transparency requirements. taken a range of actions to raise cybersecurity standards across the UK, backed by £1.9 billion of new funding, including the creation of National Cybersecurity Centre. Published a code of practice for Internet of Things devices to ensure that strong security is built into internet-connected products by design. Set new standards for protecting personal data, giving people more rights and control over use of their data through Data Protection Act. So it's basically what you see in the UK is what's going to be adopted here.
Right. Yeah, we're moving towards them. Go ahead, Joe.
No, I was gonna say, like, this is where my day job comes in. Like, I deal with a lot of this stuff in my day job. Like, a lot of the stuff, especially what the European Union has done. I can't even remember the acronyms right now, but there's been a bunch of them. Like GDPR is one, and HIPAA, and there's all these different compliances that these international bodies are just pushing through. They're just like, honestly, they'll just come up in a meeting one day of this some new binding digital charter treaty, something that the European Union or some other group has come up with that we have to abide by. But I guess just at a 30,000 foot level, and because I really haven't had time to go through the charter yet, I have been trying to kind of back off from digital media and taking in so much of the noise that this one I gotta go through this. But at a 30,000 foot level, in principle, like, when you just look at what they're doing, to me, what bothers me is, well, like, right off the bat, I just searched Christchurch, and that shows up that 3 times. I get 3 hits on Christchurch in looking at the digital charter. So right there, you see where this is. What they're pointing to right off the bat, pointing to 50 dead Muslims in Christchurch, New Zealand, to justify broad-reaching censorship. What's going to amount to censorship? Let's call a spade a spade. Let me just check right now. Let's tie in. I don't see anything right off the bat about firearms, but that is the firearms is the other moral panic that they're using to push stuff like this. And the timing of Bill C-71, and Bill C-71 is in its 3rd reading, so I think it's been around for about a year. So it's basically it's past 3rd reading in the Senate, and at this point they're going to use the urgency of stuff like this to pressure the opposition, beat the conservatives over the head into supporting what they will refer to as safer gun laws, when again they're only targeting legal gun owners.
Right. And that's what they do. They chip away at your rights little by little. And they're like, oh, this is just moderate regulation. What, you're against moderate regulation? Just this and that. But yeah, it's little by little by little until you have, like, absolutely nothing left. So yeah, we can't allow something like this to pass, and if it does, it's just, they're going to make it harder for people just to transport weapons and stuff, I'm pretty sure, in their vehicles. So, and also they're going to take away the grandfathering aspect of it, so people won't be able to grandfather weapons to other people. And like I said, all the crime that is happening right now has nothing to do with the legal gun owners whatsoever. And a lot of the crime, like the gun crime in Winnipeg, is actually, the guns are coming either from across the border or they're homemade weapons, right? These people, they're making, like, essentially muskets like out of wood and springs, and they shoot like spring bullets at people, and it's enough to kill somebody, but they also get a lesser charge when they use this as a weapon. And that's the thing with criminals, like, they know the law pretty well, so they will know, oh, if I beat you with this object, I'll only get 1 year. If I beat you with this, then I'll get like 5. So I'll use this fake gun to kill you. So it's not even the guns itself. It's like these fake guns. Just the other day, I saw an article, Winnipeg, they busted a whole stash of these homemade weapons. So, what the fuck are they doing? And they're not stopping the cartels that are coming across the border, these Mexican cartels and whatnot, and these criminals and gangs. And yeah, it's It's clearly just taking our rights. Go ahead.
Right. One last thing I want to throw in, and what's probably the most concerning about C-71 to me, or at least when my buddy Mike over at the Fifth Bardo, he doesn't got his channel going anymore, but when I was reading through the bill, what was most concerning about how it was interpreted is the broad reaching powers it was going to be handing over to the RCMP to reclassify firearms, because right now firearms have to go through the legislative process for classification, and they're going to hand that power over to the RCMP now. Their justification, the parliamentary justification, is to quote, take politics out of the picture. And I call bullshit on that. It's just that it'll give the RCMP that discretion literally from day to day to say, okay, these weapons now, if it takes a centerfire cartridge, we're going to reclassify those. All of those are going to be restricted now. Hypothetically speaking, they could do that.
Right, exactly. But hey, MaidenLiberty, how's it going?
Hey,
welcome to the Canadian Round Table.
How's everybody doing tonight?
Good.
Okay, I'm doing well too. Yeah, where's Fred? He's very silent.
Yeah, I'm around.
Oh, you're around. Okay, there you are.
So how's your channel coming right now?
How's my channel? Things are okay.
Yeah.
It's still the same thing as far as I'm concerned. Like, YouTube is still getting all screwy with my channel. Still the same shit though, but
yeah, I saw your last video, so you're gonna stick around, make some content, but I hope your boyfriend's doing okay.
Yeah, listen,
family.
Listen, just like a long story short of what happened today, he was bawling and everybody knew what was coming. But everything's good. She left in peace, everything's fine, but him too. He's gonna be fine overall. Everyone's gonna be fine. It's just that his brother recently got married and he's in Greece as we speak, so he has no clue what's going on. So it's gonna be a big, it's gonna be a bitch slap in the face when he gets back. But better like that when he comes back, just to be very angry than to tell him when he's making happy memories, as far as I'm concerned. But you know, it is what it is. But that's the update so far. But the channel's still getting all screwy. Let's just put it like that. But
yeah, we'll keep at it. We need as many voices as we can get, and you speak very well, and we need as many people that can speak well and get a point across, and try to get people in action or whatever, right? So the more the better, right?
Yeah, so, I think this way, like sorry to interrupt. Sorry.
Go ahead.
It's just the live streams, I think, are going to be a better way to actually start generating a little bit more action than just being isolated and just talking to the computer screen and doing editing. I think that's what's going to be. I think that's going to be the better way to do things personally. Right. But right now it's just still re-strategizing. But that's all I'm going to say. So we'll just take it from there. But I'm glad to be joining, regardless.
Good. Well, welcome to the show. You're welcome anytime.
Thanks.
By the way. But so what do you think about? Have you been paying attention to the recent Digital Charter Canada Charter as of late, and the gun ban, the gun law, Bill 71?
A little bit. I have been paying attention to it a little bit because I've been talking with my boyfriend recently about wanting to get started on getting our gun license anyways. But with hearing this, we're asking ourselves, is there even a point to it now? Is there even a point? So, what pisses, I want to go through it. Exactly. I've been wanting to get a gun for like at least 5 to 7 years now, for quite some time. But now how things are going, it's a little bit more evident that you're gonna need it. But what pisses me off about this whole thing with the gun situation is, it's a good question. When do you start to realize when your country is in trouble? Well, for me personally, I think it's when the fact that you don't have the right to self-defense, period, is a questionable thing. And if that's the standard, then where else is it going to go? And here we are. You have your answer. Just that right there is a very questionable thing and a very problematic. You compare what the United States have, and it's like, why aren't we bringing that here? It works in the States. It's not a perfect system, but what's better? Does anybody have anything else better? I don't hear anybody suggesting anything. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to go with the guns. I'm going to go with what the Americans have. So,
well, people think we had it better because we were a much more homogenous country compared to America. And like, they're looking at their gun laws and they're blaming that for the increase of crime and shit. And you're like, that's not exactly the reason why there's a lot of crime. And there's a huge crime spike in Canada, and we've had gun laws that were much less restrictive in the past, and the gun crimes weren't as bad. So I think it's maybe the people that we're bringing in, and the lax laws and the open borders and all of this other shit that is really contributing to it. But any excuse that they can have to take away our rights and stuff, but a lot of people just can't see through it. And we Canadians have this aspect about them that they want to be better than Americans, and they have some like, well, we got free healthcare and you don't. Well, we don't have guns on everywhere, and you do. We're like Europe. We're so much better than you, right? And then while Europeans are getting raped by Muslim rape gangs in Rotherham, and people are like, what? Diversity is great. London is amazing now. What the fuck are you talking about, John Cleese, you racist?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You guys heard about that? John Cleese called out the diversity in London and how it's completely changed compared to what it used to be. And everybody's like, what do you mean?
It's not the first time he's called that out before.
Yeah, he did it again. And people essentially, what you get from it is that people say, well, this is what you get for colonizing all these countries. And you get all these immigrants that are like, well, Britain colonized my country, so this is what you deserve. Me diversifying your country and ruining it. Like, oh yay, the knife crime in London is so great. Such a great thing that diversity has brung. At least there's good ethnic food to eat occasionally and whatnot. That's an upside. But what are you gonna do? And yeah, we're gonna need guns to protect ourselves, but it's you, the law-abiding citizen, that we have to blame instead of the clear criminals we keep bringing into the country, right? Or the degeneracy that we're breeding by giving money to single mothers and whatnot, right? Et cetera, right? There, we create a lot of these problems. But hey, Chris, how's it going? I saw that you just joined us a little while ago. Are you there?
Yes, I am just hunting for the mute button. How are you?
Not bad.
Good.
We were just talking about the Canadian Charter as well as the Bill C-71 that has recently passed as well. So I don't know. Do you have any opinions about that? What was your thoughts on the topic exactly? Do you think it has any chance of passing the digital charter or whatnot?
Well, I haven't read the digital charter myself yet.
It's pretty long.
To see all the details. I'm sure it is. I'm sure they would have made it a word salad as well, just to obfuscate what they're trying to get passed. I'm sure it'll be nice and virtue signaling, and extremely vague in very important areas that should not be vague. Just guessing. Haven't read it yet, but I'm just thinking about what I would do if I was trying to hide my real agenda.
You can Chris, there is a UK charter that's already being used, a digital charter. It's a lot shorter, and it gets right to the point, but it's big. So we mimic whatever goes on in the UK.
Yeah, well, I know we want to be inclusive when it comes to unnecessary text for something that people aren't going to read. So yeah, fair enough. So no, I haven't read it yet, but I plan to. So I don't want to offer an opinion onto it other than I know the people who are behind it. So I kind of have a feeling I know what to expect. As for the gun piece, I saw that and I just scrambled online to be like, okay, how do I get a gun license in Canada before any of this takes effect? Just to see if I can slip it under the radar a little bit.
That's what you're gonna see, just a huge rise in gun purchases.
I don't know that we really are, because I think people here are so I was about to use a verb for sheep, but people here are such sheep that we are just still comfortable. We're going to go along our merry may. We got our bread in circuses, Raptors in the NBA Finals. Go Raptors. So yeah, I mean, I think they're just going to get away with it, frankly, in terms of it passing. and which I think is basically where it is right now. If I remember correctly, it's just waiting for royal assent, unless I'm mixing up my bills. So yeah, I think they're gonna get away with it, and it's one of those things where people say we don't want to be like the Americans with the guns and stuff. I know somebody was just talking about that, and fair enough.
It was me.
But at the same time, yeah, but fair enough. But at the same time, some of us do. Some of us want to have the option. So yeah, I don't want to leave my security 100% in the hands of the state. I like to. Yes, the state can be more efficient at some things, but when push comes to shove, I want to be able to push and shove.
Well, I'm assuming that bows and arrows will go up in sales, big, huge machetes.
Ben Shapiro is already going to go to the bow and arrows, so we gotta.
And that's brutal,
If he's getting ready, we gotta all get ready.
we don't want the Canada is going to look like the UK, where there's machete fights in the streets and stuff. I just saw a video today about that. I think it was Paul. It was. This I don't know, it's one British MP guy with glasses. I can't remember his name, but he was sharing a video, and you see these people like attacking each other with like machetes and running. It's like, Jesus Christ. Like, I don't want this to become the norm, because people, they're still going to use weapons.
Actually, in the school there the other day, they were confiscating spoons. I think they were being laughed at because.
Oh yeah.
So, gonna spoon you to death and spoon your eye out.
Keep the Kerpens at the same time, or are they still going to pass?
Yeah, no, they'll probably pass, because it's a religious thing. I actually made a joke about that a long time ago when they passed that. I was saying I have a religion that requires a bull mastiff, an aggressive, bloody, super hungry bull mastiff has to be by my daughter's side at all times, no matter what. And don't worry, it's completely safe. We have a very weak leash and a very weak muzzle on it. So it's part of our religion.
Part of your religion.
The Mastiff religion. Nobody's ever heard of it, but it is a religion.
Yeah, people gotta watch out about their dogs too. That's another thing. Bulldogs, pit bulls, or something, and people, they go, they kill their owners, and people are still like, they're sweet, loving animals. I'm like, you may as well have like a lion in your house or something, like the fucking tiger. At that point, I wouldn't have something around my kids that could like just break their necks in like 2 seconds, right? People are like, oopsie daisy. But, some dogs are good protection animals. But, have you guys heard about the recent Malaysia trying to send their garbage back to Canada recently?
Yeah.
It's like they're doing the same thing that Philippines did, and because of, I guess, our weak response, they're like, hey, we can do it too. Trudeau's going to take it, and is going to pay for it as well. Apparently, they're trying to get the company to pay for it, but then if they don't, they're going to get Ottawa to try to pay for it, which they will, right? They're gonna cuck. And realistically, I'd be like, no, it's between these two companies. You bought the fucking trash. You keep it. Like, no.
Like Justin Cringe channel did a funny on that. You bought the garbage, you get garbage.
Yeah. These people, they buy the garbage willingly a lot of the times, and then they take all the useful shit out, and they're like, they dump the rest, and then they're like, the North America is polluted. It's like, no, you bought it. It was between these two companies, and then now we're on the hook for it or something.
So I'm taking a modest approach. I know some people might be unhappy about that, but we have such a poor environmental standard. There's so many people that are, let's do Earth Hour and shut all the fucking lights off and pretend that we're being good citizens. Fuck off. I've seen the garbage guys. Everybody's organizing their recyclables and their organics and shit, and I see the garbage truck go by. He looks at everything. He's like, fuck it. And he just puts everything in there. He takes the green bin, boom, goes in the garbage can. He takes the garbage along with the recyclables. He doesn't care because really, for the last 25 years, we don't have a recycling industry. There was articles written in the Toronto Star back in the late 90s that they had cans and bottles piling up near the beaches because there was actually no one recycling them. There was just a big fucking act. It wasn't like in Europe where everybody kind of miniaturized the packages, like mustard, ketchup came in tubes. You would roll them up because they had a very small square living space, so they had to be very cognizant of what they're doing. Even like, for example, I remember when I was living in Switzerland for a while with my uncle, and you would come to a train stop and you would turn your engine off at every train stop. It was like a law. You had catalytic converter cars, which means that they put way before North Americans did. So they're very cognizant of that. And here we'd like to pretend, with the environment. Meanwhile, I see how people throw a trash. There's certain people still don't understand that not all plastics can be recycled, right? But we can be a little bit more efficient in the way we purchase things. Like, why don't we have butcheries where you go to the butcher and you buy your meat? It's a lot fucking healthier anyway. But instead, you go to Costco and you buy this fucking meat that's wrapped in styrofoam and plastic and fucking bagged in boxes. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. It's all a fucking joke. So like when somebody says to me, "Oh, you got to be environmental," I'm like, fuck off. Like, don't bullshit me. There's no such thing in this country about that. So,
yeah, well, yeah, it's just virtue signaling like everything else. They say as they're flying around in their jets, pollute less, you plebs. Stop using energy.
And then they make you buy the stupid bags at like Walmart and shit like this, and they tampo the bags and it's like, "Sir, would you like to pay 5 cents for your bag?" And I'm like, "No, does it have your name on it?"
But the garbage industry too is also $1 billion industry every year. So there's an incentive for them to create, like they're like one aspect of the industry has an incentive to keep a lot of garbage being made, so then they can sell it. But at the same time, it's kind of like, but when it comes to between Malaysia and Canada and stuff, and us footing the bill, I'm at that point, I'm just kind of like, okay, this was a deal between these two companies. Let's leave it at that. I don't think we should take the blame for that. And a lot of the times they knowingly buy this crap, and then now they could just turn around and say, "Oh, it's crap. We don't want it anymore." When really they did want it and they got what they wanted out of it. But now we're just suckers, like the Canada. Oh, okay, we'll take it because we don't want to openly criticize our Malaysian or Asians or minorities. Like there's that whole thing with not honoring the soldiers in Afghanistan. Well, why didn't they do that? Well, because it would offend Muslims, and that's the only reason. I just saw him today commemorate the World War II soldiers. I was like, oh, good, but that's because they killed a bunch of Nazis. So it's okay to commemorate those people, but it's not okay to commemorate the people that killed some Muslims. But oh well, they went and fought for your country. They died for your country, thinking that they were going to fight for freedom a lot of the times, and you don't even have the courtesy to give them any type of respect. But it's all because don't offend the voting bloc, essentially, right? And it's the same with that's why these countries all over these just know they can kind of push around Canada too. There's China calling us a white supremacy nation or something, white supremacist. Just nobody takes them seriously, but like still they know that's what people think of us.
Well, okay, so watch. It's a conflagration of events that's happening, right? Limit your speech, limit your presence online because everything is online, right? And it's easy. Like I almost think it was preordained. Get people to communicate online. And you can get them like all in one group, and then you can hit them and cut them off. You can identify these people easily.
I don't know if that's forward thinking.
I don't know about that because it seems that way. Then you take away their guns, and then you deliberately, fragment the military, and you start bringing in foreign nationals as your military. It just seems like all these little events are coming into like one big, huge suppression of people.
Hey guys, would you mind if I share my screen for a minute? I was looking up, trying to find some information on C-71. I think I found something pretty interesting here. If you don't mind me showing you.
Yeah. Let's see it.
All right, let me see if I can do this. I should be screen sharing right now, so I think as long as I'm talking, you see my screen okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I found this iPolitics article from May 23rd, and this is what's interesting down here, so bear with me 1 second. As one of his last acts in government days before Harper called the 2015 election, then Public Safety Minister Stephen Blaney used the new wording to reverse an earlier RCMP prohibited classification for semi-automatic Seska, I don't know how to pronounce that, Zbrovka 858 rifles, originally manufactured as Soviet-era assault rifles. Okay, so this was in 2015. Classifications and reclassifications were entered into the RCMP firearms table, setting out new restrictions each time. Liberal Public Safety Minister Ralph Goodale rescinded Blaney's directive in 2016. By 2017, the firearms community was angry with the RCMP again over another classification, which designated the new shipment of CZ-858 tactical rifles to be prohibited. Okay, hang on. January 9th, 2017, notice on the RCMP firearms reference table said the weapon was classified as prohibited because it could be converted to a fully automatic firearm with relative ease. Here's where it gets interesting. Coincidentally, an anti-Muslim gunman who 20 days later shot and killed 6 people during prayers at a Quebec City mosque was carrying a variant of the CZ-858 when he began shooting. The rifle jammed only after 1 shot, and gunman Alexander Bissonnette, who later pled guilty to 6 counts of murder, took out a semi-automatic handgun to continue his rampage. Last March, Bissonnette launched an appeal of his sentence, life in prison with no chance of parole for 40 years. That's weird. If you ask me, that they're going through all these weird back and forth about this one rifle, and then they managed to classify it as prohibited 20 days before Bissonnette uses the exact same rifle to go on his shooting spree, which that combined with the Christchurch shooting are the 2 incidents that the Western elites are pointing to say, look over there, we need to censor people and take guns from law-abiding citizens.
Wasn't the Bissonnette shooting coordinated with the M101? Like, didn't that come out right after? I think M103.
I'm not sure.
Is it M101 or M103?
M103.
103.
I think it was. Okay. It might have come after the Bissonnette thing. I think so. It might have. Maybe. I don't really recall, but yeah, all these different laws and motions that they're putting in place with, they're all working in tangent with each other, right? The suppression of speech. Go ahead.
Don't take anything in isolation. That's what I've been trying to hit home in videos lately. They're all part of an agenda, just not in the platform that we were given in 2015.
Right. I read a certain article today that said that liberals who are taught about white privilege end up having less empathy for poor white people, and their empathy for black people doesn't change whatsoever. Conservatives, when they learn about white privilege, their perception doesn't change whatsoever. But for liberals, for some reason, when they learn about this, they think poor white people, they have less empathy for them because they're like, hey, you have all the privileges in society. Why aren't you succeeding? You're white, you're a male. How could you be poor? You scum, blah, blah, blah. Right. And, it's all works in tangent, it's this type of ideology that they say, oh, it's to teach about the inequalities in society and to rectify this and to make everybody equal. But really, it's just turning people against white people and poor white people, which is their agenda. They don't like white men specifically, and white women, white people in general, right? And it's pretty clear that they're trying to fucking, make us out to be the enemy day in and day out, each and every day. You can't even have a shirt that says it's okay to be white because it's a hate speech symbol now. It's like, are you kidding me? Like, are you joking me? I was reading the charter thing too, and they were talking about a youth perspective, the indigenous perspective, the refugee perspective, but there's no like, I don't know, old stock Canadian perspective, or like, I don't know, European, or I don't know, white or something. But because they just don't give a shit about us anymore. It's like, screw these people. You're gonna get replaced sooner or later. But let anybody else jump in, Maiden or Chris or Fredrick. You guys haven't said anything a little bit. I don't want to take your time or anything.
I know, I'm just enjoying what you guys are saying. I mean, I'm in full agreement with what you're saying so far. It's just in my area, I'm noticing since the weather has been very nice, there's been a lot of Haitians around, and these guys are from the States. I don't know what's going on, but it's more noticeable now. Before I wasn't noticing any of this stuff, but it's kind of creepy to be like a minority in your own place. There's something rather creepy about that. And I don't know, it just rubs me the wrong way. I don't know if you guys noticed any changes in your area now that you're aware of it. I know I have.
Well, right, like the John Cleese guy in the tweet he made about London not being like the London he remembers. It's not English anymore. And people go, what do you mean it's not English? What do you mean? Because it's not white anymore. And it's like, in simple terms, yeah, At the end of the day, that's pretty much right.
Even Richard Dawkins, when Richard Dawkins isn't being a complete douche, he'll make comments to that nature as well, and all the liberals will tear him down.
Yeah, because he doesn't like Islam, and he knows it's bad. He probably looks around, and he sees all these people walking around in hijabs, walking the streets. That I knew somebody who used to live in London too, and she tells me, she's like, I went back to visit there a few years ago, and it looks completely different. Like the street that I grew up in, and she was an immigrant too, but it was like completely different. The immigrants there were different. Now they're all just Muslim. It's like it's crazy, and it's happening so fast. The speed at which it's happening, and especially in Canada, the rate that we're bringing in is higher than any other place in the world. So they're just expecting us to handle the infrastructure, and they're trying to scale back a little bit now, I think, because they can tell a lot of people are getting pissed off, but it's just
scale back to what though?
It's just an illusion, right? I just mean like they're pretending, like they're like, oh, don't worry, we're gonna close the border. No, you're not. You're gonna say that until the election happens, and you're gonna be like, oopsie daisy, they're just coming in again. I don't know why. Sorry.
Well, Scheer made a really weird public statement saying that we will bring in people as what Canada needs, but what exactly does that mean? Like, we have so I'll tell you the changes. I'm going to take some pictures one day, and I'm going to walk around my neighborhood and just snap a few photos of all of the condo signs that are going up. And they have a little bit of green space. Fuck it, build a condo. And who are these condos for? It's not for the local people, because they can afford shit. They really can, and they bring in these Chinese. And my wife works for a banking company, right? And I talked to her. Said, "Oh yeah, man, we're making tons of money in mortgages. Like they're just flying out the door." And I'm saying, "Well, that doesn't make any sense. Like, who's buying this shit?" And she says, "Oh, I have to go in and I have to sign here. I have to give the person. I have signing authority for a check that's over like 30,000 because he put a down payment on a house and he's got to fly back to China." That shit should be illegal, but it's nothing fucking new, right? They have agents selling. They have private openings. So when you like a second phase of a land development in the area, they have first private sale. So anyone they would pay off the agents, and they would have a private sale open to any one of these Chinese, or it could be Indians. It doesn't matter. It's usually one of the two. And then they have private dibs on the thing. And then what they do is they pump up the sales, right? There's all kinds of tricks and trades in the mortgage and purchasing of homes. Even the like OREA, which is the Ontario Real Estate Board, and then TREB, which is Toronto Real Estate Board. They're just a mafia organization, right? They're like an NGO unto themselves, and they dictate exactly how the market's going to be going. So, basically, like you could see the change. Like I live in China. If I go to a mall, and let's say there's one mall, it's called Pacific Mall. It's the biggest one in Toronto. And I did this little experiment first. We were looking through cell phones, and I had a friend with me, and he's not Chinese, and we said, can I just take a look at this cell phone, because they were selling like refurbished ones, and it was outright. And he's like, no, look, only looky. Oh, okay. And then we walked out. We see a Chinese guy. He says, yeah, I wanted to see that phone. He just hands it over to him. Right. In BC, they've had issues where they have now their own Chinese Uber, and they've been instructed not to pick up white people. I sat in dim sum places almost like a few feet away from me. I had my family there, and we're having dim sum. And I heard this conversation between an old Chinese lady and a white guy. And the lady was like, yeah, you should buy a house and rent only to Chinese, don't rent to white or black people. I was with a friend of my daughter with this Chinese guy who could barely speak English. And the guy was like complaining. He's not a Canadian citizen. He's only a landed immigrant. He already has 3 homes. That's the max that you can get. He wants a 4th one. I was there and I kind of broke in English. And he had a call with a real estate agent telling him about another house. And he's upset. He's like, Canadian government won't let me buy another house. But he's going to figure it out. He's going to buy it through his wife or through his son. And he came from Jamaica. And I said, what the hell did you do in Jamaica? He says, oh, I owned a grocery store. I said, grocery store? How the fuck, what kind of is Jamaican dollars? Like, what is that to Canadian? And then he told me he had to flee because they were robbed at gunpoint. So they all came here, and they're like loaded with money. He's got a big house. And I told Chris this because, and I recorded the call. And I said, I should play this back on fucking on YouTube or something, because he was there. He was saying, yeah, black people, they don't work hard. They're no good. This and this shit. I was like, Jesus Christ, I didn't even. What are you talking about, dude? And then I found out through Chris's family. I didn't know this, that a part of Jamaica is owned by the Chinese.
Oh yeah,
like, what
man.
the fuck?
Yeah, definitely, man. They got their hands in fucking everything. It seems like.
So like everybody gets, and again, scorpions want to hang out with scorpions, turtles want to hang out with turtles. I get it. To me, it's quite normal. But you can't bring people like that have no base interest in sharing, what they have as a culture, but integrating with our own is fucking bizarre to me.
Well, one thing I saw today too was that the BC in schools, BC's universities are being used to launder money as well, because people are giving just straight cash to these people, and then they're going and getting the money back, like withdrawing from the courses and getting the money back in like a check. Like they're like laundering fucking money in these universities and stuff, right? So, and it's foreign students that are doing this as well, right? It's foreign students, and yeah, we're being. It's like I say this all the time. It's like Canada's just open for business for like everybody to just come and pilfer. Like, okay, we'll come in, buy houses, and then go back to China.
We are not run by politicians. We are run by foreign nationals. There's nothing like we copy, like our digital charter is looking like the UK one. So we're run by the monarchy in the UK. You can tell the conservatives have no fucking agency. They have no sense and sensibility. So they're just going by this playbook that everybody the globalists have written for them, whoever they are, right? But like, I feel there's just no point in anything, because we don't, something happens in New Zealand. When did anybody in the chat or here on the call right now ever think about what's going on in New Zealand? Did anyone ever open up? Oh, let's see what's happening in New Zealand. Oh, some New Zealand cat went up a fucking hill and a kangaroo saved its life.
Lord of the Rings.
Whatever, right? I mean, nobody's like looked at what the fuck is happening. It is.
And New Zealand. So
and no one cared what went on until that Christchurch thing. Now all of a sudden, we're following Christchurch. Like, I mean, this is ridiculous.
I've thought about the flightless birds on New Zealand before, before this ever happened. So don't say that nobody has ever thought of it before. Like, yeah, but yeah, right. And it's funny how they use events like this from overseas, but then they don't use any of the Islamic terrorist events that happen overseas each and every day to inform any of the policies with Islamic immigration that's coming into our countries. Oh, well, that's not in our country. but neither is this. But this will impact all of our laws and everything. And like it was just blatantly obvious. These people are so transparent, right? But like Chris or anybody jump in. You haven't jumped in for a little while. I'm putting you on the spot. You're gonna have to say something now, Chris. He's probably doing something with his kids and his wife.
You want me to say something? So something. There you go. All right.
All right. Good.
I know your cat's joined the show intermittently as well, AJ as well. What's your cat's name again?
Chupa.
Okay. Hi, Chupa.
Yeah, he likes to butt in every once in a while, but what are you gonna do? But yeah, and I do have a little speech from Scheer earlier today. It's about 2 minutes. I'll play it right now, and I'll share my screen here. But this is from this isn't the actual speech, but this is his comment from earlier, right? Diversity is a product of our strength, and our strength is and ever has been our freedom. Watch my keynote speech, Unity and Diversity, about welcoming new Canadians and building a stronger Canada. So, he just kind of switched the words around a little bit. And, it's like diversity is a product. He's saying like we're really strong. And because of that, we can have diversity, So he's saying that I guess only good, strong nations can handle diversity. So he's saying it's like diversity is kind of like a bad thing to a weak nation or something. I don't know. But either way, he's pandering, and look at the audience in the background, right? It's like Asian lady, Sikh, Asian something, like not to say like bad immigrants, but I'm just saying you're
no,
playing
but that was purposefully done. Like that was focus grouped. That was
right.
Polled. That was temperature gauged. Like I know
Exactly.
Fredrick and Chris are both project managers like I am, and in IT, and I work in and around marketing, and you know what I mean? Like I've worked on the inside and I know this stuff for a fact, and they do have this right down to a science.
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah. Like, you see this all the time, the way that liberals and like the way they say their words and the certain talking points and the way they frame, like even in this speech, Scheer's like the new conservatives, because he's trying to distance himself from Harper and us,
Precisely.
the new conservatives, blah blah blah, right? But there's also this thing by Warren Kinsella, right? And this guy's the biggest cucky conservative to ever exist on the face of the planet. And
wasn't he like a former liberal guy or something? And now he's just like disaffected with them, but he still acts like someone is an apologist for them. I don't know.
Oh yeah, he's terrible. He's terrible. But here's like a little tidbit from the 2-minute speech where he's like, "Good job, Trudeau." Okay, let me turn it up here.
A Freudian slip there, AJ.
What did I say?
You called Scheer Trudeau.
oh yeah. Well, whatever. It's the same fucking person. All right, I'm gonna play this here. Turn it up a little bit.
Separated at birth.
Let's see here. Oh, cunt. One sec. I knew I was gonna do that.
I think we can all agree that we should be able to have an immigration debate in this country without the government calling the people who criticize their failures racist and bigots. This government's approach is dangerous for two reasons. First,
so desperate to not be looked at as racist.
To cheap partisanship and makes it easier for the government to ignore the very real problems in the system. Number two, and more importantly, it debases and devalues the threats that are still, unfortunately, all too real in our society. Racism is real, bigotry is real, extremism is real. And to ascribe those motives to those who simply want stronger security screening procedures or fewer people entering the country illegally makes a mockery of such.
See, illegally, right? He doesn't mention a lot of people
Legal, yeah.
Less legal immigration. He's like, the only people we're talking about is illegal. No, we want less legal immigration. Did you see that poll from Luxembourg? Like, a lot of people want less. And like, what? He's so stupid. That's what I don't understand about Andrew Scheer, right? Is that it's like, okay, are you looking at Europe? Are you looking at the polls to do with immigration? Are you looking at all these things? Like you're a fool for not going further right now, even a little bit. You're stupid. But so that makes me trust them even less. So it's like,
he's
okay,
he's looking at what his millennial red ant handlers are telling him to look at, and that's exactly how it works. This guy's handled. He's coddled, and he has a bunch of university age or just slightly older handlers who are pretty much liberals, leftists. They're red ants. Like they go out and you look at how the dairy cartel got Scheer elected. All these liberals went out and bought Conservative Party memberships, voted for him, and then walked away from the party.
They could stomach
how
him.
insidious they are.
Right. And he's a weak leader and just, no charisma and all that stuff. So,
and that's all on purpose. They put a straw man up there that they could easily just beat around, spineless.
Right. And, it seems to me like I listen to a lot of these conservatives and stuff, and it sounds to me like they're subtly saying, hey guys, the liberals, they were just too hardcore with the immigration. And it scared the public about being replaced. This is what I hear, and we need to tamp it down a little bit so then it doesn't freak the people out, because they were completely fine under Harper when things were actually bad too, but people weren't as aware of it. But it's like, no, no. It's he just wants to kind of like lull us into complacency. It's like trying to get us to it's like a pressure release valve or something he wants to set off, so then the people aren't as like,
have you guys everyone's noticed the very subtle pivot that he's doing, right? I mean, even if you look at Michelle Rample's YouTube channel, she's done a pivot, the same thing. It was when she first opened her YouTube channel like last year. And I was there kind of listening to it. It was interesting because she was saying she was knocking out of the park with all the keywords. She was saying, well, we have this problem with the immigration. We need to tackle it. And all of a sudden it's become very subdued. She's talking about other things. And, this is, it's basically totally controlled. They're puppets, all of them. Every single politician is a puppet.
Absolutely. One thing I want to say, if you don't mind, AJ, because I'm probably going to drop off soon because it's like 11:30 my time, is because of all the censorship stuff going on, and also I'll mention to your audience here, we've talked about the digital charter, but what I've been covering on my channel is a 3-day hearing that's been going on in Ottawa of international parliamentarians who've been subpoenaing tech CEOs to appear before them, summoning them like high priests of progressive globalism, summoning these big tech CEOs. And basically one of the big stories of all this has just been the fact that Mark Zuckerberg hasn't shown up, because they've been subpoenaing him because they basically want to bring Zuckerberg up and slap him around, because social media is making it harder for them to maintain control and maintain the narrative if you're reading between the lines. And so because of all this that's happening and where things are moving and that, I finally I started a BitChute account a year ago, and today I finally started putting some stock into it. And so I have a BitChute set up, and I know AJ's on there and Rance is on there and Adam Daniel Mazet and others are on BitChute. So I'm starting to try and put some content over there. I put my earlier video up there today. I'll probably make a video specifically for BitChute in the near future. So not replacing one or the other yet, but starting kind of a backup for where things appear to inevitably be going.
Just I sent you a DM on that. I don't know if you've checked it. Just be careful with BitChute. Make sure you have a VPN running.
Yeah, well, I'll check it out for now. That's the one that most people are talking about anyway. I'm looking for some type of backup. But anyway, I just see it as eventually they're going to probably, well, I don't know if you caught it too. I can't remember the guy's name, but he's a venture capitalist. He was actually once involved in Facebook, and during these globalist show hearings, as I'm calling them, and going on in Ottawa, he basically come out and said to the governments, you got to call big tech's bluff and shut them down. Like just pull the plug on them sometime and make them come crawling back, accepting whatever censorship you're willing to throw at them.
Yeah, so you know what the really interesting part is, like, a lot of boomers they just don't have the time to follow all this shit. So today at work, there's a guy that he's from.
Wouldn't they have the most time?
No, he works
Retired?
hard. He's from Sri Lanka. That's the guy I told you about that I was joking with, and I found out he really dislikes Muslims. He's a Christian, right? So he was sending me all these WhatsApp messages like, "Oh, what do you think about what this Muslim said? Can you believe what they're saying, what they're doing now in Canada?" And I wouldn't respond. I won't respond on WhatsApp on that kind of material because, you know, WhatsApp is governed by Facebook. But I told him about Telegram, and he's like, "Ooh, what's this?" So he's, you know, it's the word spreads really fast if you start talking to people. I said, no, get on Telegram. It's a little bit more private. It's kind of based on the WhatsApp platform, but it's not run by Facebook like a giant. And, you know, you can do a little bit more. So I will respond to your questions and in that respect, but I won't be responding on WhatsApp. And, you know, so like a lot when you get through to these boomers and you start talking to them and they're starting to like open up and they're like, yeah, you'll find a lot of them agree with you. They've just been sort of, a lot of them just seem a little bit, you know, afraid to speak out, more or less. I mean, there's old white guy who just speaks out. This is great.
Yeah.
But a lot of them are reserved, right?
Right. And like, I'm pretty sure that, yeah, I agree with probably boomers agree with me more than most other generations on what's wrong with the world right now, right? Because, you know, the millennials, a lot of them are brainwashed right now. And shit, universities, I'm sure Generation Z's not a lot better, you know, and this and that, right? So, sorry, I lost my train of thought. I was going to share a link.
But before you,
but yeah, I agree with a lot of them, is what I'm saying. So I'm not trying to. I don't want to harp on boomers or anything like that, right? And you know, a lot of people, we're lied to, right? And we're sold things that we're told like, hey, the immigration is not going to change your culture. Hey, we can pay for all this stuff, no problem. Yada yada yada. So, you know, but I think people still have responsibility to look into things, right?
I do have, sorry, I have a question before Joe leaves. Have you read that Globe and Mail article where they talk about the digital charter, 5 reasons why Canada's digital charter will be a bust before it even gets going?
I haven't yet.
Okay. Let me put it in the chat so you can see it. He gives 5 kind of valid reasons why it won't go, but it's all based around private personal data being a private asset, and they would not want to let that go. But I'm not sure if this is just
well, it's what I've been arguing all along is what the fundamental problem here is. These social media platforms, that terminology platform legally means something versus a publisher. Okay, so right now there are private companies, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, all that. They want to be platforms. The government is pressuring them to become publishers if they accept all these regulations, meaning that they will have creative control over whatever people on their platforms post. And right now, and I'll just put it that way. I'll just put it this way. There's a reason why they're platforms and not publishers is because as platforms, people are more willing to make use of their services. Right. So obviously that's part of the appeal to these social media platforms is people can go on there, say whatever they want, even though a lot of us might be herded into echo chambers, we can still talk. They're not going to censor us. But now the government is coming right out and saying, nope, we want to arbitrarily define hate speech and you're going to enforce it for us or else. You know, literally at the barrel of a gun if they were to impose some type of legislation. So, you know, that's really where this is these and where I've talked about the big tent left has kind of absorbed the venture capitalist right wingers. Like these guys that want to make money, right? They got a cash cow they're sitting on, like Zuckerberg and these guys. And I don't blame them to a degree, but this is where you're seeing like the competing visions within the big tent. But I'll check out the article.
Yeah, it says here on the fourth reason, it says monopolies work because he mentions on the third reason that investors want to look to the future of having monopolies, and these big tech companies want to monopolize on the private data, right? Because it's a cash cow for them. So it says
Right,
here,
and there's one. Hey, government's the ultimate monopoly, and what do monopolies hate? Competition.
right. And it says here, fourth, monopolies work where there is little regulation or little appetite for regulation. So it matters what sort of teeth we can find in a digital charter. Yet, in an interview with Ty John Peckman, ex-commissioner of the Federal Competition Bureau, argues that monopoly represents a specifically Canadian economic strategy. We can see these with the telcos, right? Argues that the monopoly represents a specifically Canadian. Sorry, I read that. Unfortunately, Canada is very uncomfortable with monopoly and lacks the drive to pursue strong competition or data privacy agendas, in contrast to the European Union. So the notion that a digital charter will append decades-old pro-monopoly position seems unlikely.
Right.
Yeah, I'm going to read it, but the other, in addition to the telco, I mean, here in my home province of Nova Scotia, there's only one power provider, Nova Scotia Power, and it's a private corporation. That's it.
Right.
Right. So, I mean, it's monopoly is, and I mean, Irving controls all the oil, or at least they're the name you see anywhere in the Maritimes. Right. So,
well, the government sells them like we build something with our taxpayer money and then they sell it off to like corporations for a fraction of the price, or they buy pipelines for $5 billion and do nothing with it. Right?
Yeah. The $5 billion for the pipe that's already in the ground.
It's like, this is why you should stop intervening in the goddamn fucking market. My God, it's like, we'll make your lives better by creating initiatives to get women and indigenous and minorities and tech fields and stuff like that. I was reading something in the digital charter too, right? It's all filled with that crap and each and everything.
Well, you saw also when they tried to break up the telco monopolies years ago by introducing new mobile carriers like Wind, and I don't know, Chris, maybe you remember some of them because they've been like, they didn't last long, and they didn't take long. CRTC, which is a really funny organization because they have in the CRTC they have board members that have direct liaisons to the major telcos, and yet they're also saying at the same time bringing you competition. So a long time ago when was it Verizon wanted to come in, and the whole idea of CRTC was to open up competition in the telco industry, they actually were blocking it at the same time on the admission that the telcos did not want Verizon to come in. Because right now, all the big three are working in unison. Why they do so well is because they cannibalize on each other's customers, right? People get, fuck Rogers, I've got to go to TELUS, or fuck, whatever. I don't know what's out in BC. I know what's in Toronto, and out in West, it's TELUS, right? And then they had the other one, which is Bell, and they all cannot cannibalize on one another. And then you have, Verizon, which is like a huge telco company. They blocked that. So it's really weird, strange things that are going on. Say they did the same thing with the banks that wanted to merge, and years ago they were blocked from merging. So they want it and they don't want it. It's a very strange.
Well, they want to give the illusion of choice and the illusion of that people have an option. They want to say, well, we tried to have more competition here, and when serious competition, if you remember, probably about 10, 15 years ago, Verizon was musing about coming up to Canada, and that got shut down pretty quickly because they realized that the cabal that was up here, the cartel that was up here, and that includes the CRTC too, because to your point, Fred, many of the board members are ex-telco executives with stocks and ties to the big three carriers. Frankly, the FCC in the U.S. is the same, so it's not like it's a different situation for the Americans. Plus, it's even more politicized. But,
right. Go ahead.
But yeah, that's okay. But yeah, you have the situation where it's like, they want the illusion of choice. They want the illusion. So it's like, yeah, Bell has this new deal, and it's they're gonna drop their price $5, and okay, Roger's gonna do it. And tell us gonna do it within a few days, and then we're gonna increase our prices $10. Okay, I'm gonna do it too. Okay.
Well, Bell is also trying to lobby the government to shut down streaming services and stuff online. So yeah, they go and they lobby the government to shut down more competition, right? So they have Board of Monopoly on things as well. And I was also thinking about the the Ubers and taxi companies. Like, that's just a blatant thing right there, how the taxi companies are trying to get a hold on a monopoly on taxis. So they're like, no Ubers, no competition. They fought that tooth and nail, and it's just to give us a cheaper price, right? Like, that's what competition is going to do. It's going to give us a better quality. And you see all these articles coming out about Uber when it was first coming out, and it was always like, oh, this Uber driver does this, or this Uber does this, and harasses and rapes this lady or something. Whereas, like, yeah, that's bad, and they should make sure they don't hire rapists. But a lot of taxi drivers do a lot of horrible shit too, especially in my city that I've heard of, especially to Aboriginal women and stuff like that, and girls. So
right, and this is
their own problems.
This is the danger of the digital charter, because it puts all of the control in the government, who wants to give all their freedoms and choices to the government, because they're going to be the arbiter of what's good and bad. And then you can't walk with your wallet anymore. You're just forced there. So what if they decide all of a sudden, screw, like they did in China? Oh, now I'm president for the rest of my life, which would mean for eternity, because I'm sure his family would continue on the monarchy. So what if just one day the government decides, okay, there's no more elections here, we're here forever? You can't.
Well,
you can't choose with your wallet.
Well, they don't have to do that, because think about it this way. You don't have to go that far. First, regarding the internet and whatnot, what you've seen in the third world, it's not just China. We always focus on China, but lots of countries have controls over their company, over their internet, over the public internet. And you keep hearing about Telegram being shut down in one country, or Facebook being blocked in a different country, or YouTube being blocked in a different country. And of course, China, everything's blocked because they have their own alternatives. So you have this situation where they've been testing this out all over the world. There are North American companies developing the technologies that these countries are using. So what's happening now is the Canadian government and the West is essentially going to these companies and saying, look, and it's more than liberals and conservatives, because there's people behind them that are pulling the strings, corporations and individuals behind them that are pulling the strings. So to your for the point of the video that somebody was showing, the Twitter video, I'm not sure if it was you, AJ, or Joe, you have Scheer there talking about, basically it's just a different definition, a different way of saying what Trudeau always says about everything. It's the same language. It's exactly the same thing. The only difference is you didn't want to copy it word for word, because it would have been too obvious. So behind the scenes, they believe the same things at the end of the day when it comes to this kind of thing. And so that means that the agenda will press forward regardless, which is they are going to make people, when you have a free society, you want to fool people into thinking that they're in control of their rights. And you're going to want them to say, we want to give up our rights because it's in the better when we're looking at point A or point B. If I follow the rules and I'm a good person and I don't hate anybody, let's go and get those hateful people. Whatever hate means, let's go and get them.
Well,
so that's what they're trying. That's what they're trying to
hide.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Why do you want a gun? What are you going to do with that? What are you trying to hide? Why do you want to show your face?
You want to kill people?
Exactly. All that stuff. So basically they're letting people say, okay, we're gonna, we want to be, a tolerant, diverse society. That's what we've been told to be. So and because, hey, people are all the same. It's not like the immigrants who we were kind of weeding out a few years ago in the past few generations are different than the ones that were coming over now, unfiltered. Yeah. So fair enough. So they want to make sure that they've kind of beaten these values into us for generations, and now they're going in for the kill shot. So they have control of the public and use these few internet companies that can control of the internet public square. Now that it's a trusted place for people to go to have conversations, they want to get full control of that. They want to get full control of that public square, but they can't control it themselves. So, but you see, the public conversation and search has been consolidated in a few hands, very few. Facebook owns Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp, which are by far the largest social networks. Then Twitter is off on its own for however long it's going to be. And then you have Google, which owns Google, which is where 80-90% of search is done in the West. So yes, you have DuckDuckGo and other places too, but I mean, pretty much everybody goes to Google by default. DuckDuckGo is behind Bing, which I forgot was even a thing. So just to put things in perspective. So they
one
can do
last
it.
thing,
They
and then
can-
I'll
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead, Joe.
I'll say one last thing, and then I'll drop off. Actually, if I don't have it right on me, but I believe technically the largest social network is the one we're using right now, YouTube.
True.
The most widely used social network is YouTube,
Owned
which
by
is owned by
Google.
Google, Alphabet Corporation.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
I'm going to bow out, but thanks for having me on, AJ, and thanks everyone.
problem.
Great. Thanks. Good night, guys.
Thank you for coming, man. Have a great
Good
day.
night, Joe.
Good night, man.
Right.
Take her easy and sleazy. I don't know what I was saying there. How's everybody going? How's everybody doing so far?
I want MaidenLiberty to talk a little bit.
Yeah. Big sausage fest here.
I don't mind that. That's pretty much like my entire life. It's always been a sausage fest, so this is no different.
You have only brothers?
No, I just have one sister, but when it comes to like hanging out, I'm usually in the company of guys, so it's always been that case ever since I was young, and it's been even worse until now, but I'm not complaining.
Well, I don't blame you. Women are pretty terrible.
Well,
No, I'm kidding. I'm joking.
yeah.
But yeah, like, what do you think about Andrew Scheer? And do you think, are you going to be voting for, like, who are you going to be voting for?
Well, to answer your first question about Andrew Scheer, I'm not a big fan of him. He's a charisma vacuum. There's nothing there to begin with. I find he's just like Trudeau. He's just the same shit, different ass. That's basically all it is. And he's just really silent. That's what I've noticed. He's been very silent on a lot of things until fairly recently. And as far as who am I going to vote for next election, probably nobody or Bernier. That's where it is for me. I mean, that's just it. What other choice do I got? It's either nobody or Bernier.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Right. And I think Andrew Scheer is just making it easier for people to vote for Maxim at this point, because I see like a lot of people in the comment sections, and this could just be trolls too, right?
Maybe.
But they're like, you know, at this what you said about this recent speech he did, like turned, like, if you look at the comment section, or here, I'll share the screen again. Like, look at the comments, right? For this, 637 comments, 550 likes. So the ratio right there tells you the reception that he got from his own party, right? Etc.
I just want to make a point. Just want to make a little point. Okay, I don't remember if it was on CTV when they did a poll, but they conducted it saying that if an election happened, Scheer would win, but it'd be a minority. So I don't know if anybody saw that, but just going off to what you're saying, it's making it easy. Scheer's making it easy for people to vote for Bernier. I'm not 100% sure on that. I still think a lot of Canadians are still duped and still sleeping, and it's going to take a nice big punch in the face until everybody wakes up, until what's it going to take for people to finally realize that we're going to be blitzkrieged into hell and we don't want to go any further. See, that's the thing. Like, I don't know what's it going to take for people to wake up.
Right. And you're right. Like the recent polls that are showing him in the lead are getting him to be a cuck more, because he's like, it's working. You know, my strategy is working. I'm not going to press. Maybe that's what he's thinking, or he's just, you know, a complete sellout, right? And he's trying to replace us, right? I'm just gonna keep saying that because that's what I see. That's what it is. They're trying to fucking replace us, but you know, either he's looking at the polls and he's like, okay, my strategy is working and this and that. But of the people that are voting for him already, I guess Max, or we're kind of on the fence about it, which isn't going to be like a huge amount of people. I'm not going to say it's like half the party is going to leave because of this speech or anything like that. But I'm just saying, like, it's going to galvanate a few people in their positions, essentially, that maybe they were kind of like 80% at that point. Now they're like 100%. You know, especially with him not calling out the Morgan Freeman thing with the whole speech, and Michelle Rempel shaking hands with that Morgan Ogre person. And it's like, what a stupid name to have for a fucking transsexual. Like, really? Ogre?
Shrek. It's Shrek.
Ogre. Are you kidding me? But you're just asking for it. But nonetheless, yeah, they keep showing their cards and their weakness, and especially recently too, he's backpedaling on a lot of his promises, right? To fix the budget in 2 years. Whereas when I was reading that, I was like, okay, I can understand if Trudeau has racked up the debt and tied in so much debt everywhere, where it's like, okay, it's not feasibly possible to fucking reduce the debt in 2 years. Well, it's like, okay, then don't make those promises unless you can keep them, I guess. But he does seem to be reneging recently too on a lot of his positions earlier, and even with CBC, he doesn't want to cut it. He says nothing about cutting the CBC. He just wants to change the direction that it's going. So he's not going to even saying anything about reducing the funding or cutting the funding that Trudeau has increased for these people, right? So yeah, he just on all sides he fails, in my opinion. So I'm not gonna vote for that guy. So, I still got a little bit more of the video that we could play if anybody wants to see that. What is this? The pundit class here. Here, 1 sec. Here, I'll share that. But I don't know, Fred, if you wanted to interject with something.
Well, like I read Scheer, like I pretty much read Trudeau. I find I could read the body language of guys better than I can do of girls, because Michelle Rampel, she got me fooled for a time being. She seemed genuine and likable. And then, when she started doing that slight pivot, then I kind of noticed. But yeah, Scheer, I don't know. Scheer looks like a little weird man. He's big body, tiny little head. So it doesn't look like a traditional guy. So it would be a hard sell for me to vote for anything like that. But
yeah, I don't know. He's just really weak on a lot of issues, and he said something about being the new centrist party or something like that, right? Canada. So like, okay,
well, the thing is, like this is the, like, they have no choice, right? Because you got to remember, in the larger key cities, in the large key cities where a lot of the voting takes place, these like Vancouver, Toronto, Montreal, and then like Winnipeg maybe, and some other spots, you have a growing minority. And some places like where I live, it's like not even a minority anymore. So he has to play to the base, which is sad, right? Because this is what Vincent said on the Red Elephants.
Like,
well,
he does.
He does. I think he does. He said,
well, there's lots of non-voters that are white, and the time is running out to appeal to those people. Like, we're not America, right? What's his name was talking about America, where their immigration and their rate of change it's further along than we are. And also it's probably even worse because they're considering a lot of people to be white that probably actually aren't white in the census polls and stuff, that aren't actually legitimately white. So the numbers are pretty bad for them. So in some sense, I can understand maybe where he's coming from, but Canada, we still have 70%, I think, white people or so. So to completely concede.
Yeah, but where are they though?
Exactly. Well,
where are the majority white people?
Nobody's appealing to them, right? Nobody's appealing to them. Both
I know,
parties.
but what? Right, but where are the majority? I'm sorry?
What incentive do they have to vote?
Well, they don't, because most politicians always they go and market themselves in the larger cities.
Well, a lot of people are convinced, like yourself and a few other people, not that voting doesn't matter, right? And then you ask yourself, so why do we keep losing elections?
No, it's not that. No, I'm not. No. I don't voting doesn't matter to me because a politician is a politician, and I'll make that statement again. I'm still not sold on Bernier, right? There's a trail of crumbs that guy has to the establishment. So, you know, I've heard it time and again. I've been on the planet a little bit longer than most, and then there's other people like Old White Guy and others that have been around that have seen the same shit. And this thing, that everything that we're experiencing right now has been a slow burn for at least 50, 60 years. This shit has been going, you know, like even down to Trudeau Sr. He started this shit with multiculturalism, and maybe he had good intentions and honest intentions, but nobody ever fucking thought through the whole policy of multiculturalism. What does that mean? Where were the white Canadians back then and talking about that shit? Nobody ever thought about it. We're only talking about it now because the shit's hit the fan and it's spreading everywhere. It's starting to stink. But like, right. You know, I can't.
That's what I
in good conscience.
Why didn't the older generation say anything? Right? Why didn't anybody? Well, you're saying exactly what I was saying, right, a little while ago. But I got stop talking about boomers. And I'm not trying to shit on.
No. I'm not trying to look. I think it's wrong to look at the boomers in that perspective, because even if we were in that era, we would be like, oh, everything's fine, everything's great, right, from the peripheral. Right? I look outside.
That's what I said.
I could say, "Hey, Joe, how's it going, Joe?"
Guys, maybe they did say something and they were ignored, just like people are being ignored today, because the agenda is still pushing through regardless.
That could be true too, right? That could be true.
Not the pity parties here, but it's like, yeah, they were ignored. Whatever. They have no agency. They had no say. They were just in the wind, blowing in the wind. Whatever, right? Who cares? But
well, you could say the same shit for millennials.
You have to deal with.
You could say
right now. Millennials haven't been around as long. They've voted.
But they've done just as. But millennials have done just as much more damage than the boomers have too, right? Like in a short space of time.
That's no. But that's not true. But either way, there's no point of being like, you have 60% blame and you have 40% blame. Enough with that, right?
So hold on.
Right? People have all made mistakes. We all make mistakes, and we all just have to fix them.
If you're going to look at it, right, we have to fix them right now. But what I'm saying is, you can't look at one group, because in a shorter period of time, I'm not talking about. Okay. That's good.
You're hearing that. You're hearing only blame the boomers, and nobody said that. Nobody said only blame the boomers. We all have a role.
When you start talking to them, they open up.
Right. And you talked about it. There's something you said. Where were all the white Canadians when this was happening under Trudeau? And I'm like, yeah, that was in the 60s, in the 70s. So, exactly. My point exactly earlier is that people should have spoke up earlier as opposed to now. But whatever, you know what I mean? Like, right. I agree. We agree with each other, right? So, but
at the same time, like to Chris's point, right? Like even people might have been duped, like as some of them are now, right? Because they just fucking don't have time to listen to these people constantly and be aware, read into everything. It takes a lot to do this shit. It's fucking depressing too, because I just want to live my life, pay my fucking mortgage, play with my kids, and everybody can fuck off. But no, they got to go into your face. They got to tell you what to do, and that's why it's exhausting for a lot of people to do. I don't even know how a lot of these young people they find so much enthusiasm for communism. Like, don't they have fucking jobs? Don't they do shit? Don't they want to read books? Like, it's just bizarre
question to me. Anyway, you know what I mean? What do you mean as bizarre? Like look at the educational systems we've been putting in kids. You know what we're teaching them?
and not just the education system, but look at the circumstances a lot of these kids are in. Even if they have done the right things and gone and done the right things in school and actually done something that, should give them a good education and good income, they're working McJobs. They're working Starbucks, or they're working entry-level jobs that aren't getting them anywhere. That's getting them frustrated. Even if they've done the right things, even if they haven't gone and spent their parents' money or OSAP on gender studies and, political science. Sorry, Fred. But and even if they've done something intangible, I
don't understand.
Unless they're going into trades, where they should definitely have a job, unless they suck. But most kids are going to university; they've been told to go there.
I agree with Fred. Like, I don't understand how people like communism and stuff, but it's brought to them in universities in an intellectual manner, right? And they feel like smart because some professor and all these people are reinforcing the idea that this is like, freedom and freedom of speech and these old, and capitalism. These are old ideas, and the real good stuff is this socialist garbage and communist garbage, right? And one of the books that is most given to people in economics is like the Capital, or Das Kapital, one of the Karl Marx books. And another one is by this Levitz guy, or I can't remember, this other Jewish economist guy that is just a fucking, I can't remember what type of economist, but just shit. He's been wrong about everything as of late. He said the economy was going to tank under Trump. I can't remember his name, but he's also recommended, and all these people. And then there's also like a huge percentage of teachers that are open Marxists, open Marxists, and they keep conservatives out of these educational systems. They're like, they just don't hire them. They don't bring them into the educational system to teach kids, and they actively have Antifa go and attack conservative speakers, as of late, etc. So yeah, of course these kids are going to believe and socialism, all that stuff as of right now. But that's also goes into the parents. Like, hey parents, why aren't you talking to your kids? Why aren't you deprogramming them from these schools that you're sending them to? Why aren't you looking into these schools? So it's like, stop blaming the fucking kids that are just being fucking sent there and being had all this shit being crammed into their head.
Nah, I don't know. Maybe the kids are stupid. Maybe the parents are idiots. I don't know. I went through the same shit. You think communists weren't in my universities? I didn't get subjugated to it.
Man, okay, I just saw a graph today, and it showed all these recent anti-white type articles, and they've had a huge upshift since 2012, right? You just see like all these different articles about race critical theory, about white this, white that, and around 2012, I noticed they all spiked right up. And when you were in school, and even when I was in school, there wasn't nearly, not all of this social justice crap from the very early age. But look at your kids. Are your kids stupid? Yeah, okay, you're deprogramming your kids. But what if you weren't, and they were going into these schools getting taught all this transsexual gay shit? Do you think they're just gonna just be smart enough not to think it's all bullshit? Like, not every kid is as smart as you or whatnot, right? Maybe you're smarter than the rest. I don't know.
No, I'm pretty stupid. I'm just
saying,
resistant to like persuasion.
Yeah. Like same. Like, I think I'm kind of resistant to it too. Whatever, but not everybody is. That's something not everybody's the same. Not everybody's as tall as each other. Not everybody's as strong as each other. Not everybody's as smart, as intellectual as one another to grasp this thing. So it does take the parents. Yeah, it does take them, being involved in their kids' life as well, to ask them what's going on in school, and not just to delegate to the schools, and just to have full trust in what they're teaching your kids, right? Which kind of what happens right now, because the parents, they get into a trap, and they need to pay the bills, they need to work, and they have a hard time finding time to spend with their kids as well too. So that also contributes to a lot of this problem too, right? So yeah, people are stupid today too. People are actually dumber today than they were like 100 years ago. That's actually proven. So that probably actually is one of the things that is contributing to why people like more communism today as well, right? You need an IQ of a certain level in your country in order to have like a free, type society, more or less, right? Otherwise you're just
I think it could. Right. I think it is partially parenting as well, because I remember as a child, I was brought, every Sunday I'd go play chess at the community college with my father and compete as a young kid. My dad always would have debates on the way there. I'd read newspapers a lot more when I was a kid than they do now. And I force it upon my kids, even though it's kind of difficult and it's a bore read for them. It's they might not fully understand it, but later in life it'll click, right? And maybe it is parenting because people just don't have fucking time anymore, right? I know Chris spends a lot of time with his kids and his wife. They spend quite a bit of time educating them at home, and that's a good thing. It's just parents don't have enough time. And the state. I think the state has taken more control over a lot of stuff too. I agree with you there, right? But people still have agency.
It's one of those things. Though,
yeah, they have agency. I agree with you. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry, Chris.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's just one of those things where I was saying earlier that circumstances have pushed people to abdicate, and I say push people because, which I hesitate to say because I don't want to make people sound like victims, which they kind of are, but at the same time they have personal responsibility, yada yada yada. But when you're as stretched as people are economically, work-wise, keeping up with the Joneses, again, all individual choices, but still, this is what people are being brought up and taught to do. They are kind of victims, but they're victims by choice. And so they have freedom or the illusion of it, but they're choosing to give that freedom up and say, here's state, here's my child. And society says, you need to get your kid into a school. Of course, you need them to do well in school. You need to go to a university to study things versus, let the child decide what they want. Maybe they want to do a trade. Maybe they want to do something else after school. Who knows? To break out of kind of the system. But parents are like, okay, we're going to trust the state. We're going to trust the state to take all these things on because I'm too busy doing my job, hopping on the train 1 hour one way, 1 hour another way. And then I come home and I got to run the kid here and run the kid here. Hopefully some of this sounds familiar to some of you guys who are parents or who haven't, or maybe who know about parents. Or even if you're a young person who's single, you have to live a single life, right? So it's like, okay, yeah, I'm going to go to work. And then I got to go hang out with my friends and do things and go out and spend my money over here on nonsense versus just stacking it up. You have kind of, if you want to keep up with certain things, which again is your choice. So I don't want to make people sound like victims, but when everything around you in mainstream is pointing you in certain directions, people are sheep for the most part and will simply follow the shepherd.
Sorry, guys. Just a thing in the chat. I put Richard on a timeout just for a while. I'm gonna come back in. I warned him. I don't want the channel to be deleted, and then it's he made his point, but it gets a little bit too much. So.
Oh, I didn't see what he said, but
yeah.
Whatever. But
continue calls to choose this, choose that. I like it's gotta. He made a point. Like we get it. You don't need to continue because I don't want the channel to have any issues. Anyways, continue. Sorry.
All right. Well, I want to address a couple super chats. Boingo Bear for $2. The beacons of Amon Din are lit. I'm not sure what that reference is, but thank you for the super chat for $2. Appreciate it. And then Wow Addict 2234 for $5 said, "Good bands, boys. It is okay for me to try red pilling my teenage sister, or should I not impose my values on her?" No, you should definitely try to red pill your sister, man. That's imperative that you do that. It's not about imposing your values essentially on her. It's about telling her the truth about what is going on and revealing all of the lies and things that are trying to get her, especially young girls, to be degenerates. Like like Chris was talking about, people are generally sheeps, right? People, you don't need to convince everybody. You need to convince the shakers and the movers. And then once you do that, then everybody else will just follow, regardless of what it is, right? And this is why it's important to get like celebrities and this type of stuff, on your side to promote type of your message, because it does work. It does help. It does convince people. But I completely lost my train of thought. What I was saying originally. What was I bringing up with Chris there and stuff right before that? Can somebody remind me?
Sheep.
Yeah. People are sheep. I completely forgot.
A new topic.
I had a thought. I'm lost it. I don't know, Maiden. What did I say before? Or you add something?
No, I lost. Everything's all over the place, so I'm sorry. I can't help you there.
You're on your own.
You're on your own.
Okay, so I want to bring something up. So I don't know if I brought it up
later.
Julie always talks about on her channel about her family and her experiences with her kids at school and stuff, right? So I kind of want to share this. She's already in the chat, but the last week there was an announcement on the radio for kids to go and buy gay pride shirts. I guess I don't know. Is the gay pride? I don't follow that shit, so I guess it's coming up or something, or it has happened. But I asked her, oh, okay, because I gave her the phone. I gave her a cell phone. She's quite young for it, so I she's very good in terms of like learning to mitigate and navigate around all these different apps and Instagram. I told her not to get an Instagram account. I showed her the article about that girl, that 13-year-old that ended up dead at the footsteps of a hospital because some creep had murdered her, and she dressed like some kind of whore. And so she's aware of all this stuff, and she's like, ew, gross.
Right.
And I said, go, because I said, I showed her how to use the recorder on her cell phone. I said, go there and get the shirt and record it, record the conversation. But the principal knows me, right? She knows that I'm very conservative. And so she told my daughter, oh no, you have to go to this website. It's the York Regional School Board, and you have to buy it from there. And then you order it, and then I'll fulfill the order at the school. So it's like, oh shit, damn it. So I thought I had her and I would be able to record it and play it back. But, so this is the kind of shit they keep pushing. And this is why it's important. If you have kids, or you're about to have kids, or you plan to have kids, sit with them, dinner time, just for half an hour, shoot the shit, make it comfortable. Hey guys, what happened at school today? Anything interesting? And they'll free talk. And it doesn't always have to be about curriculum. It's just like what's happening in the schoolyard, because I know she told me a lot of the Chinese kids are going around asking for makeup from the girls, because they're I don't know if it's a phase thing or they're just going to go in with the times. Oh, we want to dress like a trans. I'm gay. Right. And then the other day she told me her friend opened up she says, I'm a lesbian. I'm like, you're only 12. Why would you even be thinking that? Right. Anyway.
Right. Oh yeah. I remember what I was going to say, women, especially women, have a lot of negative influences today. They got like Cardi B as like a role model who drugs and steals from men. And the music that you hear coming out and just telling these girls to be degenerates. You have articles saying, being a mother is horrible for your health and it makes you die early. Being a mother makes your income lessen throughout your years. And I saw another article saying that parenting and being a wife decreases your happiness as well. So they're like, there's all these incentives in society. Say, be single, do this, be a whore. There's all these movies. You see these middle-aged women in their 40s going to Las Vegas and sleeping with a bunch of 20, 30-year-old men while their husbands, their kids are at home, and they're like, this is great. It's like, no, that's degenerate. And it's like, don't watch that shit. Don't succumb to these people are trying to get you to try to fulfill essentially your base urges, because that would just leave women depleted, right? And they more than men need to sleep with less partners, because men are able to kind of sleep with more women and kind of be okay. I don't say I recommend it, sleep around, be a whore or whatever, but I'm saying that women pair bond more than men, and that's something your daughter needs to understand too. It's like, hey, the first guy that you sleep with, or some of the first guys, if you keep sleeping with more and more men, that will kind of lessen and lessen. And the more women sleep with, the less long they're going to stay with their spouse. Like that, statistically, if they've been with like 100 men, they're probably not going to stay with their spouse for very long. But they've been with less, so it's
it's the opposite for guys though.
Yeah, well, yeah,
but it's opposite for guys though.
That's what I was saying. Like, they can be it's a little bit different.
Well,
they're not equal, right? We're different. We can do different things.
Well, it's the nature of the sexes, right?
And that's why I'm saying I don't recommend that men do that unless, because it's still, you could still you could still get like, I don't know, a bunch of AIDS or whatever, not like nonetheless, especially with today. But it's like especially for women, especially for women, because guys are not attracted to girls that have had like 100 boyfriends and have slept with 100 dudes. So that's just the blatant truth of the matter. They're more attracted to women who are pretty much virginal, right? And it's like have like been with very few men. Or
I don't know about that. I
for marrying, I don't know, man.
I did that thing never.
I don't know,
but
it's not virginal. I'm not saying you want like a teenager. I'm saying that they have like today. You're not going to find that anyways, right? They've all had sex at 12, but like, I'm saying that some women have only had a couple partners, right? And you're gonna want to probably settle down with that girl as opposed to a girl who's been with 100. Your chances of staying in a relationship with a girl who's been in 2 relationships as opposed to 100 is going to be a lot higher. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to stick my dick in somebody who's been fucked by 100 dudes. I don't know. Like that's just me. But,
well, I mean, like, what do you do in that case? Do you ask like the girlfriend you're going out? You say, can you give me your stat list? I mean, like when I met my wife, like, sorry, go ahead.
I'm like, I think you can tell a lot of the time some girls have been with a lot, but yeah, you can ask them, and yeah, they're gonna lie. So just multiply the number they give you by like 2 or 3 or something, right? That's a good thing.
I don't know, like what's Maiden's opinion on this?
No, no. Listen, you guys are right. But for some girls, they have to go through a lot of shit just for them to finally realize what it's like to be in a relationship. Like, it just takes that one guy not to wife them up, but it takes that one guy to make them realize, like, this is how it is to be in a proper relationship. And I'm just gonna say it right here, that hookup culture is so fucking stupid and overrated. It's really stupid. I was never one of those chicks. I never was the type to party, and it was just gross. It's just gross. But yeah, girls today, they're pretty fucked. If they think that Cardi B is like the greatest thing since sliced bread, it's like, no, it really isn't. But that's the thing though, like with girls, they're gonna have to understand that the world, like for us, physically, the world is a terrifying place physically and sexually. Right. Yeah. So, and I know that, like, I've done some stupid things. Like, for example, around here, it's not that bad as far as safety goes, but my boyfriend hates it when I go out for a walk by myself very late at night, and it's a big risk. And, sometimes I just compelled to do it. I come back fine. I'm good. But it's still, there's always that small threat there, and not only that, a lot of even guys today, there's this, I don't know if you guys heard about MGTOW. I don't know if you guys ever heard about that. Yeah.
So that doesn't help you there.
Well, it depends.
No, it doesn't.
It depends. Depends on what it is.
I agree with some of the people and like some of what they say and about, some things, but I don't think MGTOW is like a good thing in the sense that
but look at the people.
Go ahead.
Look at the guys engaged in that organization. Like, clean yourself up, hit the gym a little bit, get off the video games, get a little smart, be a little bit manly. Like, a lot of those guys there, are the fives. Like, you walk into a room, it's that one odd guy that no girl would touch. You just need to do a few things to like make yourself attractable. And there's a few key things that women look for visually, and then what they hear. So if you're not coming off as confident or as something, like no woman would want you. And if that woman that does, I don't know. I blatantly called my coworker who's like, she's a little bit heavy, but she's going to the gym. She's still attractive. Mm-hmm. And she has this boyfriend who doesn't work. He sits at home. He has excuse. She's like, oh, he's manic depressive. He has this. And I go, where did you find this loser? Like, don't you have any self-respect? And the person next to me starts bawling their eyes out because they're like, yeah, he's kind of right, but I don't want to admit it. So, like there's things that that guys look for in a woman, and there's cues, right? There's these traditional, primitive, decadent cues that both look for. And I just find a lot of these guys in these MGTOWs, they're just not following up with their cues. They just sit there, play video games, and like, no woman wants me. Well, who would want you? You're just a fat slob playing video games all day.
I think people need to have an honest look with themselves in terms of, I'm looking to attract somebody of a certain level. Am I at that level to attract that person? I think some people need to align their, what is that? Remember that Mad TV sketch, Lowered Expectations? This is about 20 years ago. You guys people just need to kind of say, okay, yeah, I'm looking on Instagram and I'm seeing these, photoshopped 11s out of 10. But then let me just put a mirror beside my computer and be like, okay. But I'm not even just talking about appearance. I'm talking in terms of career, education, just how you feel about yourself, grooming. Like, that's the basics. Like, are you putting yourself in a position to attract that, or do you have to align your expectations? And I'm not saying in a bad way, but I mean, just to what is real for you. I think that's very important. Just one thing, Fred, a story I remember from a few years ago. I used to play in a dodgeball league. In fact, I'm going to probably get back into it this summer, hopefully, now that my leg is feeling good. And I'll never forget this story. That we were in the final game. We were in the playoffs. We got into the finals, much like the Raptors. Game 1 is tomorrow. Go Raptors. And there's this guy on our team. There's this girl and this guy on our team. And this guy was good. Both of them are very good-looking people. But the guy was obviously working on this girl the entire season, trying to get her to go out with him. And so he just lost it with her one day because he just didn't quite get why she wasn't into him. But so basically he says to her, okay, are you dating anybody? She's like, no. It's like, okay, do you want to go out with me? She's like, no. Okay. So she's like, I don't know. So she says, okay, that's fine. Fair enough. It's your choice. She says, but where do you meet people? She says, I don't really meet anybody. Nobody really talks to me. It's like, I just talk to you. Like, I don't know. Okay. All right. So where do you work? She says, I work downtown. Okay. Where do you live? I live in Brampton. Oh, okay. So Brampton, for those of you who don't know, Toronto is a solid, would you say, Fred, an hour, 45 minute to an hour drive to go to downtown Toronto? Maybe an hour and a half in rush hour.
Hour and a half, yeah.
If you take the GO train, the commuter train, maybe 40 minutes to an hour as well. There's no way to speed up traffic in Toronto, no matter what mode of transportation you choose. So he says to her, how do you get to work? He says, I drive in my car. Oh, do you carpool? No. You ever take the train? No. Okay. Do you park at walk to work? Oh no, I just park right under my building and go straight up to my office. Okay. And do you talk to anybody at your office? No, I just everybody's kind of old. I don't really like anybody there. Oh, okay. Do you eat in like the food court? There's a huge underground mall in Toronto in the financial district. No, I just eat at my desk, make my own food. Oh, okay, interesting. Then you just go straight home. Yep. Go home to your house. Yep. Do you have any girlfriends or friends, roommates? No, I just stay with my family, live at home. Oh, okay. Do you go to the gym? No, I do some exercise DVDs in my basement. Oh, okay. Do you have friends? Yeah. We come over to my house and watch movies in the basement. Okay. So your social life literally is your family at your house, your girlfriend's at your house, then you go from your garage in your house into your car by yourself to your office downtown, and then up to your office to interact with a bunch of people you don't like, who are completely, and then, so what opportunity do you have to meet anybody? What position are you putting yourself in? I'm not saying go to clubs and get drunk and be stupid. What are you doing? Yeah. You know what? If you didn't do that,
I did that.
You didn't do that. Do you know anybody here? What? Do you come here often? What? Are you have a boyfriend? Yes, I like friends. What? Yeah, I like Rachel. Anyways, so that's not what happened. So basically, she didn't really. So that's a very long-winded way of saying she's not the only one in that situation. There's a lot of people who are so busy in their own little cocoon, literally her house with her family she's grown up with for the previous 25 years, to her car, to an underground parking lot where she's not even, where her assigned parking space is beside the elevator that takes her straight up to her office with a bunch of people who are not eligible, so to speak, because they're way too old for her, I guess. And she's not putting herself in a position to meet anybody. And then when she actually is in a position at this league full of people who are in shape, running around, or and me, who's trying to keep up, but people in shape, running around, a bunch of good-looking people who are have a common interests, she shuts them down. So, not saying that she had to go with that guy, but I'm just saying he wasn't the only guy there. So
if I may,
people aren't putting themselves in a position to be successful here. But
if I may get
a woman the whole time, though, right? That whole time.
She was a woman, but I'm sure the guys put themselves in the same situation too. I wouldn't say it's relevant whether she's female or male.
Yeah, it is relevant. 100% relevant. What do you mean? You know, it's a completely different thing, right? Because, you know, like I said, like some of what MGTOW or those people say is they're somewhat correct about some things, right? Like a midget woman has a deformed legs or whatever, she'll get a fucking boyfriend or whatever, right? But it's like society is a little bit different than it was before, and women are naturally like hypergamous or like hypergamy, right? And that's okay. That's not a bad thing that women want to kind of date up and stuff. And you know, and it's true. There's a lot of low standard men now today too that stay indoors, play video games, and do all this shit that aren't really good mates as well. That don't, like, you know what Chris is saying, like they don't put themselves out there as well and present a good image, etc. But there is something to the fact that they did a poll a little while ago, and they said that women find that, I think it was 80% of the men below attractive, right, level, like below 50% attractive level, and only 20% of like as attractive. And whereas men found that 50% of women were like about below, and then 50 were about above. So it's about kind of accurate, right? So, you know, women are not looking at the same kind of pools. Like, you know, they're not settling as much, and because they do have educations. And I'm not saying like women don't have educations, but it does play a role. And you know, a woman doesn't necessarily want to marry down. You know, and that's just a basic reality.
If I may add something, and maybe Maiden can chime in. This is the way I look at it, right? Women have been taught for quite some time now that dependence is a bad thing, and naturally, biologically speaking, that's not the case, because biologically speaking, women, when they choose to couple with someone and have a family, they're dependent, right? They're dependent for that period of time for the man to protect and look after. It's quite natural. And we're teaching humans who are basically just higher level, higher intelligent animals to go against the grain, the natural grain, and say, you don't need dependence on the male, because there's nothing wrong with that. And there's a certain interdependence between the man and the woman as well. And like, this is stupid, teaching women like, oh, you know, you could be completely independent and everything else. That's fucking bullshit. You know how many cat women we've met? Chris, you and I know one at a particular job we both worked at. She's a complete nutcase now in her late 50s. And how many cats does she have now? Like, I don't know what it is with that. Like, they seem to anthropomorphize animals because they need to have.
Get them to beat down the door and find out how many cats she has in there.
But like, I don't know. What do you think about that, Maiden? Like, do you think that teaching women that total independence from man is a good thing? Because that's the biggest problem here, right?
It's not possible to achieve total independence. I agree with. I'm just actually noticing this now. I was raised to develop self-reliance. That's what I was raised as. But you know, if you're in a marriage, and if the guy's not there, you need to you need to start developing the skills for yourself when somebody is not there. Like, let's say when a divorce happens. That's how I was raised. But I'm noticing now that I don't mind using some of my skills to help out my other half, and vice versa. It's not going to be possible to be completely independent. It's just not possible. But name me 5 people in your life that are completely independent from your other half. I mean, I don't know too many people. You need each other. That's just how it is for me personally. It's a bit of both. You need to help each other either way, but you're never going to achieve that independence completely. And a little bit of dependence is okay, but as for me, I do have a little bit of expectations to receive a bit of that help back. Just because if you guys are a good team, why wouldn't you want to make it work? So that's just one of the important things you have to learn in a relationship. That's one of the things that I learned a little later on in life. But then again, just to not get too personal with my relationship, I started going out with him at the age of 23. And the fact that I had I initiated to ask him out, and he's a little bit older than me. So he's a little more experienced. He knows his shtick. It's because of that age difference, I got to learning what it's like to be in a relationship. And, it's also by circumstance too. Also, just by circumstance, but you're never going to achieve any total independence. It's just not possible. I don't see that.
Right. It's some lie that they're trying to sell people. And it's like, you don't want, how is that going to give you a fulfilled life? It's having kids that I think is probably going to help you have more of a fulfilled life. It's not, when on your deathbed, are you going to be like, yay, I filed all those reports so fucking well.
Yeah, it's depressing.
And, that was so great. How people loved my work. It was so tidy and stuff. But I'm sure you much rather have, some kid, but they're specifically targeting, it seems like, a lot of white women too. And they're making them, hey, get armpit hair and grow out a mustache and color your hair green. So nobody wants to fuck you. And you're like, okay, that doesn't help either. But
doing whatever they can to prevent the people who have been here and who are in our Western society from making more of the same people. And then, hey, our population's dropping. We need to bring more people over.
I know, it's hilarious. I love it, right? Mm-hmm. Is Richard, hey, Richard, enough with the fucking, hey, man, don't say anything about advocating violence. I don't care if you talk about Jews and you're like, the Jews. I don't care. But don't advocate for violence at all.
Final warning.
Anything like that, man, because that can get my channel banned, as well as I don't support it. Just generally, I don't support any calls to violence against anybody for any reason. So it's like, I don't want that shit on my channel.
Who is this Richard guy? What's he saying? I'm not really paying attention to the chat. What's he saying?
Yeah, I don't know. He was just saying something earlier about black people. And speaking of this, right, I got an argument earlier in my last video that I made with these people, with this one guy. He's called The End Is Nigh. So I got an argument.
Okay, I've seen him.
I got an argument with this guy, and he was telling me oh, you should talk about this, and you're a cock for whatever reason. So I'm arguing with him back and forth, and then I notice that he deletes all his messages, and I see the Raging Humanist. So I commented to Raging Humanist. I wrote, hey, it looks like he deleted all his messages. He's probably because he was accusing me of shadow banning him. And he's like, you're shadow banning your people. I'm like, what are you talking about? You can't even shadow ban people on fucking YouTube. What are you talking about?
As they said, though, the wise words from the Princess Bride, I don't think that word means what he thinks it means.
But then he came, and then he made another account saying that I deleted his comments, and he self-deleted. He's like, hey, you deleted and reported my account, 2 of them, and you're trying to silence me and censor me. I'm like, what the hell? Who are you? Like, you're just making all this up. I'm like, you're blatantly making all this up about me. I'm like, yeah, I did ban BM, but hey, I unbanned you. So are you happy? But this guy, I was talking to him in my fucking comment section. And then so how are you shadow banned? If I'm talking to you and people are responding to you, that means you're not shadow banned, you fucking moron. But nonetheless, he's like, I reported his account and did all this shit. And I was just like, oh, you're a lunatic, man. I gotta find the comment here. I think it was somewhere here, but let me look. Oh yeah, here it is. But here, I'll show you guys. I'll share my screen because it was just insane. And you know what? The more you're on YouTube, you'll deal with some fucking crazy people, some fucking lunatics that
I'm not
say
even sure if
you
he's
and
actually
shit.
like looking at the comments versus just pasting in
But see, look,
repeated inflammatory terms.
well, this is the guy right here. See, he was commenting. The end is nigh. He's like, "Oh, nice, love it, AJ. Thank you for demonstrating to your audience exactly, how low rung conversation you really are. Like, just give me shit for whatever, blah blah blah." But he deleted all these comments, and then this is his new account. He's like, "Nice. Not only did you report my profile because I disagreed with you, but you deleted all of my comments. Oh, AJ. How do you do it? You must drink." Like, what? And then commented, "As fast as you can report and delete my comments, I can make another profile and post more. Now after you're done it again to this one, you won't know if I've just given up or if not, blah, blah." I can't read the rest because he deleted these two. So I'm like, I don't know what the fuck. Like, you're crazy, man. You're just fucking lunatic, but watch out, man. There's a lot of crazy people online trying to like smear me or something. Create this whole fake narrative or something. Yeah, it probably was BM. I guarantee it. Probably was BM. He was mad that I banned him for like a day. I unbanned you like shortly after that. And you're back. You're in. You should be happy. We let you back into the cool club with the cool kids. I'm gonna get some fucking snarky response from that. I know it. You guys aren't cool. AJ banned me for money. I never banned you, old white guy. I never banned you. You gave me $200. I never banned you. AJ, don't talk the midgets. Oh, well, I won't do that. Free speech, AJ. Hey, I was gonna talk about this too. Yeah, obviously I believe in free speech, but people try to equate like a YouTube platform with a monopoly on the public space, essentially. And they're like, if somebody comes to your door and starts like yelling in your face and is like, "You're stupid, you're ugly, blah, blah, blah," and then are you supposed to like let him in and be like, "Hey, this is free speech, man. You gotta let him do this." And you're like, sometimes I'm just gonna be like, whatever, I don't care. I'm gonna ban this person, but I've done it to BM, and I might do it to Richard because he's advocating for violence. And I did to this one other guy who was advocating for violence, and I told him like 3-4 times, I'm like, "Hey man, stop saying this on my fucking channel. Like, you're gonna get me banned." But your home is not like a free speech zone, right? And at the same time, obviously I want people to have discussions, but if you're just annoying as fuck and I'm just sick of looking at you, then I'm going to ban you because I believe in the freedom of discrimination. I believe in discrimination, and I think that people should be allowed to discriminate. And it's only a problem when you have monopolies controlling everything. See, I'm fine with monopolies and social media companies actually discriminate against people if there was actually alternatives to go to that these people haven't completely monopolized for themselves, right? So that is a problem. But I just hate this low IQ fucking shit where people are trying to like, you time me out, you're against free speech.
So if I can add a word, I don't mind trolls. I think and the best thing is if you don't listen to them, they lose their reverence for people trying to pay attention to them. They want attention. I'm okay with that. But when it comes to people's channels, where you could face a strike or your channel being completely deleted, for a lot of these people, it's a livelihood or a pursuit to a livelihood or trying to get the word out. And losing an avenue to something like that is like just because of someone continuing to say things that may get the channel in trouble is wrong. And this is where I agree that at relevance, yes, thank you, classes. This is where I agree that sometimes you have to interact with the chat and put people in timeouts or ban, because if they continue, it's your channel at risk, not them, right? Because if you want to, you're more than free to start a channel and start, saying all this shit, and let's see how long it lasts too, right? So we all kind of need to be mindful and respectful. At the same time, yes, it's about free speech, but remember, you can't go into a crowded theater and start yelling "fucking fire" when there's no fire, right? And run.
Well, you can actually, like, that's actually like a debunked thing that people, that case was actually there's never been a case brought to that or something, I remember
you know what I mean about that, right? It's like there's,
and they actually found that, like, yeah, you could, like, you could even call for essentially violence a lot of the times, but whatever, like that's a different subject. But yeah, I know what you mean, and it's not. I wouldn't say it's the same thing, like calling for violence in a theater, like this thing. It's just like, hey man, you're gonna get my channel banned, and I'm gonna fucking ban you if you advocate for violence, because Twitter and YouTube or whatever has already said if we read comments that say this or that, then we can ban you for it. So
yeah,
you're just a fucking asshole if you're trying to do that shit, and you know what you're doing. You're doing it on purpose. You're trying to get, you probably read that manifesto and you took it to heart, and you're like, oh, I'm going to try to get these people banned, so then it makes them extreme, and then they go and, I don't know, shoot some politicians or something, right? I don't know what the hell people are doing.
Have you heard of Teddy Spaghetti? Are you guys familiar with Teddy Spaghetti? Yeah, it's a now growing meme on Vox Day, which ROTC had spread. And so he's taken a lot of money to start up a kind of a private TV channel with Owen Benjamin, who Owen Benjamin today was going absolutely mental and just like cutting off his chat and, treating his chat very poorly. And so there's this thing about Teddy Spaghetti that's being spread across all of the YouTubes and internet. So someone brought it up here, and I thought it was funny to bring it up because we might get a little bit more visibility by mentioning that.
Sorry, I zoned out completely. What you're saying, like about what exactly? More visibility?
Yeah, well, not because. Okay, never mind. It's kind of, that one flew over your head. Teddy Spaghetti. Look up Fox Day Teddy Spaghetti, and you'll see what I mean.
Oh yeah, Vox Day. I don't really like that guy, to be honest.
I don't think anyone does.
He's very pretentious. And you're just like, okay, yeah, you're smart, buddy. You disproved evolution. Whatever, man. Like what really? Like, what? I don't know. What lie?
Oh my God! Why all white guy? Don't tell me you like Vox Day, please. God. Oh
hey,
no!
I've heard some things where I'm like, okay, that's kind of interesting or whatever, but it's just he gets on these, like, it's just like the way he talks. I'm like, holy fuck! You just look at his face. You're like, man, this guy just thinks he's the smartest person on the planet. It's like,
he is. He is to himself.
Right. It's like, whatever.
Actually, has anyone saw the video, just on the shits and giggles thing? Has anyone seen this new video that someone made about, because Vox Day he lives somewhere in Italy with some people, and he had a video. I know old white guys could be pissed, but boomer vacation in Europe. Someone's got to play that. Chris, do you have that? Let me see if I can find it and I can share it. But it's funny. It's
no, I don't have it.
Does anyone in the chat know what I mean? Like, so I can find that video and play it back. It's hilarious. And they have this video of his friends in Europe, and they're talking about, Vox Day's abilities to buy a home and this shit. It's hilarious. Does anyone in the chat know what I'm talking about? Or am I just like, hello in the chat, guys? Do you know which video I'm talking about? That Vox Day. Hold on. I think I am.
No, I'm not sure.
Remember, there's a slight delay between what we're talking about and then what the chat response is. So, while the
I found it. Barcelona Boomers. Okay, I'm gonna send it to you because I can't play it. So one of you, like either Maiden or AJ or you, Chris. I'm gonna put it in the Hangouts chat, and you guys just play it back because it's funny as shit.
Okay. Check it out here. Okie dokie here. So 2 minutes.
Do
Okay.
you want to play it back? I think it worked
Yeah,
better.
yeah. I'll play it back here. Share.
Welcome to Barcelona Boomers, brought to you by Unauthorized TV, starring Vox Day, this fat guy and his wife, and Owen Benjamin. Just get a divorce and go travel. Fail to pass on your culture and enjoy a new one. The hell with your kids. Fuck 'em. Walk the streets of Europe like a fag. Bring that new spurg. Why useless shit. Blow that pension big boy. Saddle the next generation with debt and rub it in their faces. Oh look, the ocean. So pretty. Shall I take a selfie? Very cringe. Indulge. In endless indulgences. So many indulgences. Indulgences all the time.
Just indulgences all the
Oh, my residence! Fuck, it's funny.
go.
Drink your sorrows away.
I like the robotic voice. Drink your sorrows away.
Your fat face. Have another bite, you fat fuck. Dog walks galore. Slow down, you're going to have a full electric fuck. Start a garden and stream from the orchards like a queer. Looks like shit. Are you bored? Play a little hot dish. Shit man, this game sucks ass. Is Christianity in the way of your depravities? No problem. Burn it all down and watch it on Fox News. We're happy you can join us and hope you enjoy the show. Don't forget to sign up to Stephen Crowder's Mug Club.
That's my club. That's so funny.
Jesus Christ.
That's funny.
Yeah, man. It's going all over the internet. So they're calling him Teddy Spaghetti is his real name. So it's like, so people, I don't know if you guys, there's big YouTubers that I follow, like Beauty and the Beast and others. So people would, they don't know Vox Day pretty much, but they'll chat bomb. They'll put on super chats and say, "Hey, have you heard about Teddy Spaghetti?" And people are like, "Oh, is that? It's that Vox Day's new channel." They did it to JF actually. I don't know if you caught that one. It was pretty solid. Anyone is like ROTC. I want to bring those guys on. I've already kind of sent off an email to, hey, good night, BM. I already sent off an email to, I think, Mersh or his brother in arms there on ROTC to come on, just shoot the shit.
Who? ROTC?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I'll check them out. The Revenge of the Cis.
Oh,
and then
yeah.
Then they have Nightwave and Daywave.
Mm-hmm. Daywave.
Yeah.
Well,
So
I think we'll end it in like 15 or so minutes. I think we'll end about like 11 or so. But I don't know if you guys got any other topics that were percolating in your minds or anything you want to bring up specifically, or I'll address some of the comments or questions that anybody in the chat has that they want to ask the chat. Anybody specifically, MaidenLiberty, while she's here. So I'll keep that open. But if anybody wants to bring anything up, just shoot. One sec here, but okay. Well, so I don't know. So what do you guys think about the I don't know, the topics tonight, you know, like the you know, Malaysia, I guess, you know, we talked about the garbage, and then the what do you call it, the bill C-71, and then the Canadian Charter of Immigration, you know, Andrew Scheer, you know, kind of who we're voting for and stuff. But let me check the election. Let me see here. Thoughts on polyamorous lifestyles. What is that exactly again? Is that multiple spouses?
I think it's a man with like multiple women in one relationship.
Oh yeah, I think it's horrible, right? I think that we figured out in society that monogamous relationships work the best. And you know what? I just saw a polygamous relationship the other day in Winnipeg, and this black guy, he had like a bunch of wives, and you know, it was a white lady, a white wife. That was the one. She was thrown in a barrel, and like she was killed, and they put her in a barrel of fucking chemicals to try to dissolve her body. But they were living in a polygamous relationship, and it's like, you know, that's a huge problem, because there's 50% of women and men, pretty much a pretty evenly distributed number. So if you are to just have a bunch of these certain men getting like big harems of women, that's not good for society. Then you're going to have all these men that are not getting sex and all this crap, and you know that's not good for society. Then these people are going to go and probably do acts of violence and stuff. So no, I don't think polygamy is a good thing, and that's pretty much what is happening right now. You know, it's like a form of polygamy that's going on, that is being promoted. You know, it's monogamous relationships aren't being promoted. It's you know, go sleep with as many people as you can, and don't have long-lasting relationships, etc. So, you know, that is essentially what we are doing right now. We see kind of the results of it as well, right? But you know, I guess at least the Muslim polygamists get to keep their wives on a leash, right? So that's a little bit better.
I was just gonna bring that up, but you beat me to it.
It's true, right?
Yeah. No, exactly.
Just saying, like, they at least have that down, because like, hey, we, you know, at least with their polygamous relationship, they understood. Oh, well, we can't just let them go roam and shit. But us in the West, we're not that smart, right? So. So maybe we should adopt a few of their value. No, I'm kidding. White Sharia. No, I'm kidding.
Northern Patriots just mentioned. Northern Patriots just mentioned. Just seen a message from Scheer, basically saying we need to keep immigration up because boomers are retiring. Oh no!
Yeah, right.
You know, that's the thing, right? That's the thing that they use. People are dying. We need to bring more people in now. So you know, it's just I don't know. Fuck.
Somebody's ears right there, but yeah, right.
Yeah.
In the meantime, we've got young people who aren't getting jobs in their chosen careers, who are being steered in the wrong direction. We've got people we've already brought here who are living off the public dime. So how about we make better use of the people we have here today and take care of the people we have here today before we bring in more? I think that we truly have enough for a while.
Right, but you know, Scheer is just trying to be like, hey, Trudeau is scaring everybody with the illegal immigration, the race he's bringing in, so I want to slow it down a little bit to kind of alleviate some of this fear, but it's still, yeah, a massive problem. And you know, yeah, it's too many, too fast, and we don't even have the infrastructure for it to begin with, especially with these illegals that are coming in. You know, if we have shelters that are full capacity right now, then what do people really expect? And you know, if you really care about the climate and climate change, then you don't want to bring people from third world countries that are using minimal energy to a country where they're using more. And it's like if you legitimately care, then that should factor in to your decision about immigration. But it doesn't. It never does. And you're like, oh, you're just saying that because, yeah, I am just saying that. I don't want them here for plenty of other reasons, but I'm going to use that for you because you're a fucking idiot liberal who believes that shit. So yeah, I'm going to say that shit because it's also true. It's not wrong. Even if I don't really, even if my reasoning to not bring these people in is for other reasons, it's still fact that, hey, if you care about the environment, stop bringing people in to drive these gas guzzling vehicles and to live in homes that need to be heated in the wintertime, right? Not a good idea if you care about the climate. So, there's a lot of, that's why I don't believe any of that shit, because I'm not saying I believe in the climate. I believe in it changes. Obviously, there's been ice ages that have receded, that have come and gone. Of course, there's climate change. Of course, the climate, like, we're not, but they try to simplify it as the right and say, you don't agree with climate change. Like, no, everybody agrees with that. We're disagreeing whether humans have the effect that we do have, and whether all of your predictions are actually accurate, because throughout the decades, they've made plenty of predictions about how the sea levels are going to rise by year 2000, by we're all going to die from acid rain, the ozone layer is going to get eaten up, and we're all going to burn from radiation, blah, 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 blah. All these new fears just to scare you to, give up more of your rights, more of your money, to give to the third world, to help them build their technologies, to help them educate their people, so then they can go and say, hey, well, these people are educated in Africa, we should bring them here into Canada. You're like, well, we just educated with all foreign aid money we've been giving to these people. And you're like, whatever. So it's a rigged system essentially right now, especially with, the immigration system that is coming in. And, like I said, me personally, I don't care about the whole climate thing because I don't believe it anyways, but I know liberals care. But I just don't want to be replaced. Sorry to say. I know people think that Canada is just a home for a bunch of different people and all that stuff, but I disagree. I don't think it is. People are saying this about London, about England, and saying, well, this England and the UK, it's not really for British people, and it's been diverse for hundreds of years. Actually, like, I actually saw these comments, and people are like, oh, there's been these people buried in England for 100 years, these brown people, and this and that. So essentially, you need to get diversified. And you're like, why? Why do I have to be? No, I don't want to be. This is bullshit. This isn't a two-way street, because I don't want to go to your shithole country. Your country is shit. It's a fucking shithole. I don't want to go there. It's a shithole for a fucking reason. And you coming here is going to make my country into a shithole at the end of the fucking day. And that's what's happening. Go to Toronto. Look at the crime rate. Is it a bunch of white people that are shooting people? No, it's not. Sorry to say. That's not to be racist, but it's true. It's just fucking
one correction.
true.
Winnipeg's crime rate is way worse than Toronto's, but so.
And it's all natives that are doing it, right? So once again, not white people, but well, either way, I'm not saying white people are saints, but we got to look at reality.
And when it comes to white collar crime, white people are number one. Just want to make sure.
Oh yeah, I agree with you. I'm not saying we're saints. We do lots of crime, but Europe was a pretty safe place. The UK was a pretty safe place. London was a pretty safe place. Germany was a pretty safe place. What changed? Well, you brought in a bunch of angry Muslims and a bunch of people that don't like you, a bunch of people that you colonized at one point that have a grudge against you. And I understand why they would have a grudge. Hey, I wouldn't want to be colonized or whatever. You can make arguments that actually benefited a lot of their populations, but whatever. I can understand why people hold resentments and grudges, but that doesn't mean that you can just completely take over that country now and replace it with all these other people because you're colonizers, so this and that, right? And it's just bullshit because it's happening in every European country. It's not just Canada and America. It's at every single European country, except for the ones like Poland and whatnot, and Italy that are starting to withhold. And you see how they are treated by the media and by the EU and by the UN, and how they're deemed as pariah and this and that, right? And the rise of far right wing in Europe, oh, it's scary, nationalism, scary. It's like that nobody wants to be replaced. Nobody wants to wake up surrounded by people who they don't know, who they don't recognize. That's just a basic human fucking emotion, I think, that we all have. For people to deny that, you're just denying basic reality, and or you're just ignoring it, or you just don't give a shit, which, whatever. I don't care if you don't give a shit, but I do care. And I don't want it to happen. I'm not racist or whatever for thinking that, or liking, or whatever, or acknowledging that the more diverse a country gets, the more fucking violent it's probably going to get. That just seems to be a correlation. It's you know what I mean? Like, I don't know why that is, but it tends to happen. So yeah, that's. I guess I kind of went on a little rant there. If anybody else wants to add, like I said, I'll probably end it around 11. So if you guys want any other things you want to bring up, or Maiden, if you want to promote your channel as well.
Yeah, so guys, my channel is still being under attack by YouTube because these guys want to be screwy with me. So, you can find my channel. I'm not hard to find, MaidenLiberty, and I'm starting to diversify my channel into other places as well. BitChute, Gab, Minds. My recent video has all the links there, so you really can't miss it. So, and honestly, everybody should start diversifying onto other platforms as well. So if that's the way things are going to go, I would suggest everybody start doing it. If now is going to be like like a taste of what we're going to get, but 10 times worse in the next few months, start prepping. That's what I would say.
Right. Well, you, Chris, or you, Fredrick, you guys got any last words before you die? What you'd say on your deathbed?
Buy a Steven Crowder mug for the Mug Club.
Yeah, I want to second that. I want to second that. Definitely subscribe to the Mug Club. Even with your last dollar, do it. Sorry, Fred. Go ahead.
No. That's all I got to say. We're going to have, just make sure you guys tune in to the Saturday stream. I do want to offer. AJ had made a video today earlier, and I want to just offer my condolences to you and the person's family. I'm not sure if you already shared it on your video, but I just want to say that publicly. And check out some of his cool new videos that he made. Definitely more proficient than me. And then we'll have the Saturday show. I'm looking at Northern Patriot. I'm hoping that he can come on Saturday. That'll be great.
Yeah, no, Northern Patriot. We'll try to bring him on. And next Saturday, you were saying, on your channel?
No, this Saturday. This
Saturday, I mean, right?
The TCR.
I'll get him on. Anybody else, MaidenLiberty, you can come on whenever you want. Like, I throw an invite out to a few different people as well, usually. And I think it's good that people can drop in and out if they want, if they got time. They don't have to necessarily show up as soon as the show starts or something. But you got time, at like 10 o'clock or something, whatever, hop in. But thanks everybody for joining. Thank you for everybody in the chat, for liking, subscribing. I got 7 dislikes, so it's probably BM and some other people that I triggered in the chat. Maybe he's still mad that I banned him or something like that. But that guy loves me. I'm pretty sure he just follows me wherever I am. It's kind of interesting. But either way, I love you too, BM. I know that you really do respect me and listen to my words and take them for take them to heart. That's I know you do. See, no, true. I'm here for Fred. See,
that's sweet, man.
He does that on purpose. He's trying to make me feel jealous. That's what he's doing. He's I swear to God, I like, But yeah,
Look who's getting triggered now.
he's trying to make me feel jealous, and it's kind of working. It's kind of working, but let me check the chat out here. Have a stellar one. Thank you, Derek, for coming, buddy. Thank you, my noogs. You and your snarky comments here and there, I see occasionally, but thank you for coming. Good job. Modern art, that's
Boingo
true.
Bear.
Boingo Bear. Hey, I'm doing it. National.
Okay, I'm just helping you.
Ian. The old white guy, Voltron, thank you for coming. Hello world. Trying to steal my thunder. Piece of shit. All right. Thank you all for coming, guys. I appreciate it. And have a good night, guys. Take it easy.